Like we have a few people on here.
Yeah, they want to get that sound check out the way. Want to make sure they can hear us.
How was your weekend, brother?
Man, my weekend was good. My weekend was good. I mean, except for, like that Sunday night.
What was wrong Sunday night?
I watched them daggone BET Award.
Oh, that was crazy. We got to talk about that.
Horrible. Horrible.
Bro. It's not like it used to be. That's for damn sure.
And I think the shock for me was that I hadn't watched the BET Awards at least for a good 6-7 years, but probably longer. I haven't watched them in forever. And I have no idea what made me decide to go ahead and watch them. But oh man, it was not good. It was not good. I mean, it was a good piece here and there, but overall, not good.
No, I have to agree with you. I don't know where the talent is. Maybe the times have passed me by, but I seen that you put a post up, and it was in regards to talent search, where they find the talent or something of that nature, or something like you were like
the formula for these women. That's the formula. There is a formula, and I believe some of them is very talented, but you can be talented, but you gotta take your clothes off and hunch. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm sorry, twerk. People don't like when I say hunch. I'm old school. That's what we called it. You got to take your clothes off and hunch the air, hunch the ground, hunch somebody in order to, no matter how good you can sing or rap or dance, if you ain't doing it virtually naked, you're not talented.
Right. We can go all the way from Cardi B, who's a mega star, to the Stallion Girl, who's a mega star, to some of the last love and hip hop people. I don't know all their names, but it seemed like they recruit from the same area. I think the strip club is the new talent search area for singers and rappers. You know what I mean?
Seems that way.
You can twerk. You got ass grips and ass implants and all that stuff. There it is. And unfortunately, one of my favorite female rappers, is MC Lyte. Okay. MC Lyte, then Queen Latifah. But then when you get into different, not quite the 80s rappers or the late 90s rappers, but when you get into the early 2000s, my favorite rappers like, Lil' Kim was in the 90s. Lil' Kim came out in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
she was my favorite, my favorite female artist during her time. And she look a mess now, bro. What? I don't understand what's going on with Lil' Kim.
I was saying to somebody, there's no way that when she looks in the mirror, she's happy with what she sees. And maybe that's why she looks like that, because before she wasn't happy with what she saw. And so she's chasing something, but
I don't know what she's chasing. She may be trying to repair. I hear once you do that type of stuff, you start trying to repair things. But I don't understand how women or guys or whoever, anorexic people, look in the mirror and see somebody fat and they 78 pounds. So it's a mental, it's a mental situation, obviously. Yeah. I think it's the same way with that plastic surgery stuff they do. I think it's the same way. Let's see here. Well, it's good that you had a good weekend except Sunday night. Wait a minute. Speaking of Sunday night, did you see Kanye?
Yeah, man. I thought he was gonna suffocate right there live in front of us. He was breathing hard.
Yeah, he sounded like he was on his Darth Vader move, moment. You could just hear. I was just waiting for him to fall down.
Yeah, and then I know they wanted to rush him off, but they couldn't. They couldn't justify it. I put this on there too. They couldn't justify rushing nobody off after they did a full-on drag show. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can't tell somebody, hurry up, because then somebody gonna say, hold on, but y'all had drag show and y'all want me to hurry up? Stop.
Right.
So they couldn't justify rushing nobody off the stage.
Yeah, they couldn't. I was waiting for Big Freedia to get out there too. I don't know. Maybe Big Freedia made it out there. Big Frida. I don't know if you know who Big Frida is, but
I'm only familiar with her because my wife was familiar with her, but I heard her during the drag show. I heard
yeah,
her.
yeah,
I don't know if they were just playing a song of hers or
probably.
if she was on the stage, but I heard her during the drag show.
Yeah, nah, she was. I heard it in the background, or maybe the DJ mixed her in or something like that. But yeah, Big Frida get a lot of get a lot of shout outs and props because even Beyonce came in and did some work with Big Frida out in New Orleans. So you got to respect that, I guess. But you're right, they did a whole drag show. I was tripping. Was those with shoulder pads in that dude's wardrobe?
Had to be.
He looked crazy with that one. But I seen some that had the outfits, and I'm not really a basher on that lifestyle or anything. I pay respect when respect is due. But I mean, I seen some that look crazy, and then I seen some that look like a regular runway show at a fashion show. So some of them look good, some of them look like they had no business up there. That's just my opinion.
Oh, now hold on. Somebody saying my reception here is choppy.
Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit. It is now.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me go do something. Take me off the screen real quick. I'm gonna go do something upstairs because I might have unplugged one of the things.
All right.
I'm gonna.
I cut him. He gonna trip. Can everybody hear me fine? I'll give it a shot. I'll see if I can hold it down. Actually, Big Frida is someone said is a singer. Who said that? Let me find out who said that. Jenny. Jenny said Big Frida is a singer. I never saw him until last night. Nah, Big Frida been holding it down out of New Orleans for a long time. Big Frida has been boisterous and been like a house music underground artist for a long time, who ended up going mainstream. So yeah, I'm not really into that. The Odd Couple, how y'all doing? What's up, Fame? How you doing, bro? It's very choppy. Okay, he's going. I know I'm not Emmanuel Livingston. I'm not sitting in for Emmanuel Livingston. This is the King and I show, and the King himself had to go fix a technical situation on his end. He has a internet problem, so you're gonna have to deal with me for a hot second. I guess you could fall out and come back here in a minute, but if you want to hear somebody that's right all the time instead of sometimes, then just stay in here now. I'm just kidding. We got a good show today. We actually had a conversation over the weekend, and E-Man and I think we're gonna agree on some things today. And then we're going to disagree on some things. And I'm sure the things that we disagree on will be a little bit more entertaining for some of you. The things that we agree on probably will I think we all as a group will probably have somewhat of the same agreements of how things are going. We're going to talk a little bit about the Roe versus Wade decision from Supreme Court. We're going to talk a little bit about what else? I got it written down here a little bit. We talked about the BET Awards, but that's just a short conversation. That was a short conversation. We both agreed that Kanye was about to fall out. Kanye looked like he was about to fall out with the mask on, sunglasses, hot ass bodysuit. I'm like, Kanye, bro. But let's be honest. Was it just me? But was anybody else waiting for Kanye to say some crazy shit? I know I was. I was waiting for him to say, man, I used to look up to Diddy, but I seen him out one day and he curved me or he did this. I was waiting for him to say some foul shit, but he impressed me. Kanye kept it 100. He talked forever, but I respect the young man for saying what he said about Diddy. They gave him his roses, his flowers last night, and I appreciate Diddy. I mean, he's gone through a huge journey in the hip hop era. And, I think it was well deserved. Well deserved. He's been able to withstand that music industry. And, that's a very tough industry to master like he has. Let's see here. Let me see if Emmanuel's back yet. Let me see. He's not He's not here yet. Just trying to see if I can pull him in again. No, he's not ready yet, y'all. What Emmanuel's doing is he is connecting his internet. You know, he moved his studio to a different portion of his house, and the internet connection was very weak, so he's fixing that. So you're gonna have to deal with me for a couple seconds until we get his technical difficulty situated. Looks like he's back now. Looks like he got full bars. It looks like he's ready to go. E-Man, you ready to go? We said, wait 1 second. Jason said, get on him in that dial up. Get on him in that dial up. Just for that, Jason, you know I got to clown my man a little bit. I will get on him. I think his American Online, what was it called? Remember when you dial up and it'd be like, doo, 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 doo. Uh-oh. It still might be a little choppy. You ready? He said he's back. All right. There's E-Man, y'all. There's the king of talk.
I still might be a little choppy. I'm making a call. I'm switching over. I'm on Spectrum. And
Spectrum don't have American Online. They don't have AOL.
Yeah, I'm on Spectrum. I'm gonna switch over to that. What is it? It's not Cincinnati Bell no more. What is it now?
I don't know.
Alta Fiber, is that what it's called?
Okay, all right. So you got that high speed rich man internet.
Yeah, I'm making that call today. Right.
It looks better to me. I mean, I see all bars up on your end.
Yeah, it is, but you know, it's in and out. It's in and out. I think I need to boost my speed. Because I'm getting signal. It just might not be fast enough, and I got to get that gig.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever it is.
I get it. Some people were saying you had the dial-up thing going on, so they know you better than I do. I don't know.
Man, they haters.
Is that what it is?
I got haters.
Okay. Well, all right, man. Well, listen, you say you had a good weekend. What's up, Angela Kenny? How you doing, sis? She said, hey, good folks.
And your weekend?
My weekend was good. I had a little scare at the end of the week last week, and it pushed me into a hectic weekend with my daughter. For those that don't know, I have a 17-year-old daughter that we had to rush her to the hospital. They rushed her to the hospital. She's up in camp up in Columbus at this medical camp. And she passed out. You know, I guess sometimes they think it's because of the heat or whatever. Long story short, she passed out. They took her over to the ER and they did the scan, and her heart rate was down in like 31, 32, which is detrimental. And that kind of scared them. And then they call us. So I'm on the expressway on my way to Columbus in prime rush hour, stuck in traffic, not knowing what's going on with my kid. That was the most scariest thing in the world. I was about 30 minutes from doing Wyatt Live, and I got on the road at like 4:30 in the afternoon. That was on Thursday of last week. But good news is she's feeling better. She's back up at camp, but we have a doctor's appointment tomorrow at 10 a.m. So I'll be getting out of here early in the morning. I probably won't be able to do any shows or anything tomorrow. So thank you to those that prayed, including you, E-Man, for sending the shout out, looking out for the family. I appreciate you, brothers, for that. It's not going to stop me from getting on your ass, but I really appreciate you, reaching out and making sure everything was good. So let's get at it, man. Enough about me.
What you want to talk about? What you want to start with?
Oh, man. I mean, what else? I think we got to come. Oh, I tell you what I want to talk about real quick. You said some foul shit last week. I gotta say you said some foul shit last week.
Oh my goodness.
Bill Cosby. Brother, what's going on? Why do you believe that Bill Cosby just lost a judgment. He lost a judgment of $500,000 to a young lady who claimed that Bill Cosby did something to her
Okay.
in 1975,
Okay.
45 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to figure out how you guys could see that as him being problematical. I mean, like he's some big problem when this girl didn't file a lawsuit against him till 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And it was at the same time that all this other stuff came down, the date, drug, and all that. I don't understand why people fall for the things that has fallen on Bill Cosby. I know there may be some evidence that says that, you know, he did the things and the allegations, but I got something I'd like to say on that. I'll say it when you bring it up because I know you will. You're gonna say that he admitted to it. So when you say that, then I'll take care of that.
Well, you can go ahead and take care of it now because that's argument number one. He admitted to procuring drugs to give to women to have sex with them.
No.
Yeah.
They were doing drugs. That's what I'm gonna say to you. They were doing drugs.
No.
He didn't testify saying that he snuck drugs in their drink. That's not what he said. He said drugs were involved in their date. That's a difference.
No, that's not what he said.
What did he say?
He said, oh, I wish I had it in front of me because I used to carry it around in my book bag. He said that he was asked about giving women drugs. Did he ever procure drugs to give to women to make it easier for him to have sex with them? And he said yes.
No, he didn't. That's not how it went.
Oh, man.
You took that out of context. Took it out of context.
How do you take drug and women out of context?
Well, when there's drugs involved, you know, people do mollies, people do all these drugs in today's world, and they call it, I don't know what they call it, but there's a lot of drugs going on in dating amongst these people out here. And they do it for the extra feel and pleasure. It's like some people hook up and smoke weed together and then they have their pleasures together. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just telling you that it wasn't a cut and dry situation that he just put drugs in their drink when they turned their back. That's not what he admitted to. He admitted to there was drugs in play. Bill Cosby was doing drugs with them.
Now, I would say, though, that there's other evidence, even if he didn't, which he did admit to drugging women, but even if he didn't, admitting that there was drugs in play, and then you couple that with his unnatural fascination with the idea of Spanish fly, as he describes it. I'm saying as he did, because I saw him on a clip of him on a talk show, and he even got a little frustrated because he was describing what Spanish fly was. And he was saying, you know, the amount of the tip of the head of a pin or something, and you put that in somebody's drink and it knocks them out. And he was fascinated with the idea of this drug making somebody pass out and then having sex with them. So it wasn't just, oh, I want some Spanish fly because that makes
what part of his testimony or what part of that case did you get what fascinated him about the drugs? That's a pure assumption of what you think he had the drugs for.
I'm bringing in outside evidence of his fascination with his apparent fascination with having sex with knocked out chicks.
So it's a pure
assumption. Couple that, and when
it's
you
a pure
couple
assumption.
That,
it's a pure assumption.
It is, and a good one, and a good
no,
one. And when you couple that with the fact that he admitted to giving women drugs for the purpose of having sex with them.
And you know what? Let me just say something to you, bro. Sometimes guys, especially in my era, and it hasn't slowed down yet, guys get weed, they get a bag of weed with the intention of having sex with a woman, but it's a mutual situation with that weed. Here's what I'm talking about. You want to roll up? Everybody know what that means. You want to roll up? I'm sorry?
That's not mutual when you have a fetish, a desire, this unnatural desire.
See, that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying it is. That's what you're saying it is. No, that's not what he said. He never said that.
I watched him on it. He said it out in the public.
So this man said my factuation, I was fascinated by women falling out from the drugs that I gave them so I could have sex with them. Where did he say that at? What document says that?
What he said was he been searching for Spanish fly his whole life ever since he heard that just the amount, the tip of a pen, you can give it to a woman and it knocks her out, and then you can do anything you want to do to her. He said that.
Man, you making that up. He ain't nobody said nothing to. He didn't say it like that. I'm telling you. I read the court documentation. I seen the affidavit that got him what the technicality. I seen the testimony that he gave that incriminated him. And
all you gotta do is look up Bill Cosby Spanish fly on YouTube.
I ain't on no YouTube stuff right this minute. I'm telling you how they deal with it in court. The technicality in the court showed that he was supposed to be off because of what testimony he gave. Yes, I understand that he had a deal with a district attorney. The district attorney was then retired or moved on to a different job, whatever the situation may have been. The new incumbent, the new person that came in said, no, you can't have that deal anymore. We're not giving you immunity to your testimony. And what happens is the admission of drug use, and I say drug use, the admission of drug use put him in a vulnerable position for some other people to make their point that the drug use may not have been consensual on their end because they never admitted to drug use, but he did. He admitted that there was drugs in the play of their relationship or when they were together.
I'm using regular old everyday common sense. If you tell me, Wyatt, that you got this fetish about having sex with knocked out women, and then you tell me, oh yeah, and I've been giving drugs to women to have sex with, that says to me, you might be trying to knock these chicks out to have sex with them.
Well, there's a whole lot of guys that bring drugs to the game when they sitting down trying to have a relationship with a girl.
Don't make it okay because a lot of people
it don't make it okay, but it makes it. If you use your rationality of just because drugs was in play, he had foul intentions, that wouldn't make sense because there's a whole lot of people that bring weed and all other kind of drugs that other people agree to. Like Janice Dickerson, that name ring a bell with anybody? She's a dope head who jumped into the lawsuit as well against Bill Cosby, and she brought no credibility to the whole situation. She actually made it messy and made it not valuable at all. Her testimony meant absolutely nothing because everybody knew how she was. Everybody knew how she was, and she agreed to everything all those other women said.
And okay, so here you go. Some of those women,
one person out of all those women who we actually knew publicly. We didn't know the other women publicly. They all relied on testimony that matched up through one attorney. Okay. One attorney represented all those women.
Those women might have been lying. I'm not, come on, I'm a reasonable dude. Some of those women might have been lying. Some don't know was telling the truth.
I don't know about that because if you tell 100% story and you put 10% lie into 90%, it still could be wrong. It could not be valid. So that's just my argument. If you got one liar, that means there could be other liars. That can't.
It could be.
It's just like in a court of law. It's just like in a court of law. You got 12 jurors. You can get a hung juror just by one. One feeling different. One could mess it up and could it not mess it up, but one could actually see things totally different.
This sounds like some excuse making.
It's not excuse making. It's facts.
If I express, and this is just simple, if I express that I like to have sex or fantasize about having sex with unconscious women, and then I tell you, I'm gonna go out and get some drugs for the specific purpose of giving it to women to have sex with them.
Man, I don't know if you know this, bro. I don't know if you've been in Cincinnati your whole life, brother, but LA is full of what you just said. Ecstasy, what is it? Ecstasy, whatever it is. Spanish fly, Molly's. It's been like that since Hugh Hefner in all those days. Some of them women would take what they would take because they felt. And listen, I'm not defending rape at all. I'm just trying to. Well, you could say it is. You could say I'm defending it because I'm not for rape. I got 2 daughters of my own. But I'm saying I also have taught my daughters not to be in certain positions and feel like you need to be around certain people and feel validated because you're around a Bill Cosby or a Rick Ross or any, big names. I'm just using those names for arguments, fellas. I don't mean anything personal towards my brother, but I'm just saying that's what's wrong with groupies. Groupies get themselves in a position and then they all line up when it's time to capitalize off of the bad decision they may have made. And they take those drugs, bro. And you can't tell me that all these women
that probably happens.
All these women have the same attorney. That's problematic for me. That's problematic for me because when you say how can they have the same story? Well, when you sit down and you tell a story to your attorney, that attorney could write that story up, write that defamation up to the court, and it can all match up, leaving a level of consistency of what this man has done or what he didn't do.
Wyatt, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
All right. This is totally hypothetical. Totally hypothetical.
Okay. All right.
I'm asking for your legal opinion on this, and it's totally hypothetical. There's a murder, and they find the body, let's say with no fingers, right? No fingers on the body. There's a prime suspect for the murder, and previously, this suspect has openly fantasized about killing somebody and just cutting their fingers off. Do you think that previous, not testimony, but that, they found some entries in his diary or found a recording of him having a conversation with somebody talking about this fantasy that he had about killing somebody and cutting their fingers off? Do you think that lends any credibility along with other evidence that there's a really good chance that he did this murder?
What's the evidence?
Whatever the evidence is. I don't know. He admitted to doing stuff. He was there. He admitted to, I don't know.
Does he have a background of committing that same type of murder? Has he been in custody before? Has he been on trial for the same
Sure,
thing?
he's been accused of it a number of times.
Been accused of it a whole lot of times.
Yeah, never convicted, but accused.
Okay, then that is a suspect. You do have to run an investigation. You do run an investigation.
And my question to you is, do you believe that little detail that they found in his journal about he fantasizes about killing somebody and cutting off their fingers, do you think that comes into play in that case?
Sure. I mean, it would have to.
Bill Cosby fantasized about drugging women and knocking them unconscious to have sex with them.
I don't agree with that. You're going to have to show me where he said that.
Okay.
I'm just saying like
right now, but
wait a minute, hold on. Because based on that evidence that you're telling me about Bill Cosby, that would be a great thing to have in the trial where he opened. First of all, if he said that, it would be very incriminating. And I don't know why a district attorney would give him immunity for a testimony like that. Because there was a criminal trial.
Bill Cosby Spanish Fly. That's all you got to do. Just look it up. You can find it yourself. It ain't no secret. It's out there. It's been out there.
It depends. See, I go on certain sources. When you say he said, it's very easy for someone to put allegedly Bill Cosby said.
No, right? There's a video of him saying it.
Okay. All right. Let's just say it is. Let's say it is just for argument's sake on your behalf, because I would think that that's enough evidence. With how many women were they? How many women were there? 20 something. Yeah, 20 something, mid 20s or something of that nature. I would think that that's enough to get a conviction.
They got a conviction.
No, they got a conviction off of his testimony. They got a conviction off of
Wyatt. They had a whole trial and they got a conviction.
What did they use to get that conviction?
A testimony and evidence.
Testimony.
Not just his testimony. There was a lot of testimony given.
It was only the women. It was the women, bro. It was only the women that were involved. The testimony that sealed the case was the fact that he admitted there was drug use in the nights or the days or whenever they were together. His own words is what got him convicted.
But he said it's his own words that got him convicted. I didn't hear any of those jurors say, if I had not heard or seen where Bill Cosby admitted to drugs, I wouldn't have convicted him. Come on.
Pause. Let me just say this to you. If they had that strong enough case, if the district attorney who didn't want this black man to be what he was, they were trying to nail him. If they had that much case and that much evidence on him, they would have never gave him an immunity deal. They would have never said, whatever testimony you give me from this point on, we won't.
How you figure that they would have never gave him an immunity deal? Bill Cosby was an exceptionally wealthy, exceptionally powerful person, and we know that people.
Every reason to get his ass up out of here. Every reason to get his ass out of here. Every reason.
Powerful people.
Every reason to get his ass up out of here. Who wants to see a prominent black wealthy man?
Who wanted to get him out of there?
Excuse me?
Who wanted to get him out of there?
Oh my God. Who wanted to get him out of there?
Yes,
you asked that question?
The DA that gave him the immunity deal, you're saying that guy had his heart set on getting
No, I'm talking about the new guy that came in.
Exactly. And he went after him and got a conviction.
He went after him and he got a conviction based on the testimony, not off the evidence that was laid before him. It was the testimony that Bill Cosby gave. They took away the immunity.
Making an assumption. That's you making an assumption.
No, that's a fact, bro. That's a pure fact. Okay. What did he get off for? What got him out on a technicality?
The technicality is what got him off. But
what was the technicality?
The trial. He wasn't convicted just based on his admission. He wasn't convicted because of that. You know that.
No, they can't. Listen, what got him convicted was the technicality that ended up coming in that got thrown out. They used the technicality to get the conviction. They used his testimony. They brought it into court. They took away the immunity and got a conviction, bro. They would have never got a conviction on him without that testimony that they said it was immune. He was immune. Immunity.
That's an assumption that you're making. I don't
know. No, it's not. No,
and you don't know that to be true. It is. 100%.
So you saying to me that they would have got a conviction. No, the DA would have never. Listen, bro. The DA
and I don't know what they would have got.
Listen, bro. From my experience in the courts, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Whenever the DA give you immunity, they don't have a strong case. They're not going to win their case. It's just like when they give you a certain position, like for instance, when they give these snitches, when they give them I don't know, hey, you work with us, you won't go to jail. They very seldom pull that back unless they told a lie. If they get caught giving up evidence or giving up sort of like what Ndukwe is doing with PG. They gave him a form of immunity for setting somebody else up. They're not going to snatch that back. Now, you can't use, hold on, this is the same scenario. You can't use what you told Ndukwe. You can't go to him and say, oh, you know what? We know we got this conviction based on your evidence that you helped us out with, but we're going to snatch all that immunity back from you, and now we're going to put you on trial.
You're arguing a whole different issue.
No, it's the same situation.
Spin up a whole different issue. It's not the same issue.
Same principles of what immunity lay on.
It is totally different. It's totally different.
God, how is it different?
You can't fool me on this one.
I'm not trying to fool you. Immunity is immunity, whether it's a sex eviction, conviction, or
off because of the immunity. Yes, he did. They went back. They said he had a deal for immunity. So technically, we got to let him off. I agree with you there. No doubt about it. That's not assumption. That's just fact.
But did they use what was the immunity evidence? Did they use that to get the conviction?
That was part of the evidence that they used to get a conviction. Yes. Now, but that's a huge leap to say that he only got convicted because of that. Had that not been there and that same testimony existed in a criminal case,
I'm going to tell you right now.
Say with 100% certainty that he would never have been convicted.
I can tell you
testimony.
I can tell you right now that the DA, based on what Bill Cosby was saying and admitting, or whatever he said in his testimony, would not have gave him immunity if they felt like it was going to put the nail in the coffin of the case. They're not going to offer you immunity. They just want to know. It was a setup for the civil case.
Right.
That's all it was about.
That you're right. That testimony may have put the nail in the coffin, or may not have put the nail in the coffin.
Getting convicted.
The fact of the matter is that we don't know what put the nail in the coffin.
I'm telling you.
You're assuming. You don't know that for a fact.
Listen, let me tell you why they gave him.
Who knows that for a fact? You know who knows that for a fact? The jurors know for a fact exactly why they convicted Cosby. Now, if you show me, because again, I can be wrong, and I can admit when I'm wrong. You show me where those jurors said, you know what? All that other evidence didn't mean nothing. Bill Cosby's admission is the only thing that I convicted him on. Then you're right. Show me that testimony.
So you saying to me that the district attorney felt so good about their case that they gave him.
You talking about something totally different. What? You made a statement. You made a statement that the only reason Cosby got convicted, that means the only reason that those 12 people said guilty is because of that testimony from Bill Cosby. You have to prove that in order for it to be a fact, and you can't prove that.
Let me just say this to you, brother. Here's how I can prove it. If they had a strong enough case to convict him without that testimony that he signed off immunity on, they would have never brought it in the case. They would have never used it.
Prove nothing.
That proves exactly what you just said.
That might lend a little credibility to it.
All right, let me just say this to you, bro. Let me say this to you. Let me just bring this up to you.
We got different definition of proof.
No, proof. Okay, well, let me use this synopsis for you. If the feds don't need Ndukwe and all their other witnesses on PG, they just want they got other witnesses and other things that they just won't even bring forward. If they don't need them, they don't even bring them. Why waste the time?
That's not true. Hold on. You telling me, and you've been in the courtroom, you're telling me that prosecutors don't bring in evidence that they don't necessarily need. You're telling me if I got a video of a dude committing a murder, I'm not going to bring in an eyewitness and another eyewitness? Or if I got one eyewitness, why bring in two? Yes, they use more evidence than they need.
I'm going to say this to you right now, E-Man. I'm going to tell you this.
Reasonable doubt.
I'm going to tell you this right now, E-Man. The prosecutors, it all depends on what the situation may be, but they do withhold back evidence sometimes. Now, what they will do is they will share it they'll share it in the suppression because they have to. Okay, they have to give the defense what they have. But there's sometimes prosecutors will set things up knowing that an appeal is coming. Knowing that an appeal is coming. And that same evidence that they withheld, that they never used, will be used in the appeal. Because sometimes when you get a conviction, there's always going to be an appeal. But what I'm telling you is this. The DA would not have used the testimony that he used.
They will.
I'm sorry?
So you're admitting that the DA, the prosecutor, will sometimes bring in extra evidence, even though they're pretty sure that they got the case won with what they got.
You're going to have to say that one more again because you were breaking up. What'd you say?
So you're admitting that it's possible. What has happened in the past where a prosecutor feels like this is enough evidence to get a conviction.
Yes.
But we got more. So
yes.
Why not shore up this conviction?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, they will not use all the evidence. Yes.
You totally misunderstood the question.
No. I get what you're saying. But I'm telling you that they do sometimes not use everything that they have. And what I'm also telling you is a piece of evidence could be, if a piece of evidence can be what you feel is evidence, and it can turn out to be probably a great piece of defense for the defendant. What you call, just like what happened in Bill Cosby case, what they felt like his testimony was going to be the nail in the coffin on him, and it ended up being what got him out because they fraudulently re-entered that evidence in a case that it should have never been there.
They went against an immunity deal, which is what got him the conviction overturned or thrown out, or whatever the appropriate terminology is. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't giving them chicks drugs to knock them out without their knowledge, and there's no way you can prove that.
I'm trying to tell you right now, bro, when you brought that evidence in of something that never should have been there, you are gasping for bubbles as a prosecutor to get a conviction. Why would you messy your case up like that? Why would you offer someone a deal and take it off the table once it's signed off on by a judge?
It was a different guy.
No,
it was a different guy.
It doesn't matter. It's the same office. The same office
does matter, which is why it got thrown out.
No, you can't do that. First of all,
you're right. You can't do it, and that's why the conviction was overturned.
No,
that's why. We are arguing two totally different things.
No, I get what you're saying, bro, but you're wrong. You're saying that you're saying that even if that evidence don't come up, he still could have been convicted. That's what you're saying. Right. Yeah. What I'm telling you is, why in the hell would you bring in messy evidence to get a conviction that you feel good about if you have a strong case? Why would you bring evidence in that you have no business bringing in that a judge signed off on an immunity deal? That means you have a weak case. It should have been some charges filed on that DA for doing that. I'm telling you. That's no different than a DA going in there and just flat out lying.
Look, we arguing two different things. I'm not disagreeing that the DA, in light of there being an immunity deal, should not have brought this case and should not have used that evidence. We're not.
Then why did they do it?
We're not. Why did they do it?
Let me hear your logic of why they brought that evidence in.
It was political. He made a promise. He made a political promise that he was going to do it.
Who made a political promise?
The DA. He made a political promise when he was running that he was going to do it, and that was him fulfilling that political promise. He was wrong for doing it. He should not have done it, and therefore Bill Cosby is free. We agree on that. So we can stop arguing that. But that doesn't mean Bill Cosby is not guilty. That don't mean he's innocent.
It means
that argument that you're trying to make is because he had immunity. That means he didn't drug those women.
Here's what trips me out.
Oh,
it fascinates me how we then sat back for many decades and watched these courts railroad us, especially us, and think that a DA wouldn't do some dirty shit like this, knowing that he didn't have enough evidence to win a case heads up. The only reason why you do something this dirty is because you don't have enough evidence. The testimony didn't mean much of whoever it is. It wasn't a strong case, so we're going to do whatever we got to do to win the case. And that's what they did, and that's why they choked on their own spit, because they did some dirty shit to get a conviction.
You want to keep winning the same argument. You won that argument.
I understand.
They should have brought the case. I agree with you from jump that what they did was foul, and that's why he got out. I agree with that. What I don't agree with, and what there's no way in the world that you can prove, even though you're saying it with like it's a 100% certainty of proof, a fact, is that had that testimony not been there and that case been pursued. Let me ask you this before I finish. How many times has Bill Cosby been put on trial criminally for drugging and raping women?
It's all the same case.
How many times?
How many women were involved in that case?
I didn't ask how many women. I said how many trials. How many times has he been tried for that?
One time.
Criminally. Exactly. One time. So the way you're saying it is as if he's been tried over and over and over, and they didn't have that evidence and he kept getting off. But the only way that they got this conviction was because they had that one piece of evidence, and that one piece of evidence is the only reason. But you take that, we don't know that because he had never been tried before. without that evidence. If he gets tried again, we don't know if he'll be found guilty without that evidence. There's no way that you can say that with 100% certainty, but you're sitting here saying it with 100% certainty. And there's no way you can prove that.
I'm saying it with 100% certainty because anytime the prosecution has to do some dirty shit, that
trying
means
to use some deductive reasoning, but that doesn't prove anything.
No, because that's not the. Listen, bro.
Me using reasoning that any man who publicly professes that he fantasizes about having sex with knocked out women, there's a good chance that that dude could be giving drugs to women to knock them out so he can have sex with them.
Well, once again,
that don't prove that that's why he did it.
That's something that you said that he said. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know where that is, but I'm just going to tell you this, man, from a legal aspect. Anytime a prosecutor has to bring in some dirty testimony against a defendant, chances are they have a weak case. They're not playing by the rules. Something's wrong with the case. They done found some chinks, some sinking in the armor somewhere. And I don't know how we sit back here and say that, you know, if it was an up and up case, if the technicality was for something other than what they did, I might fall for that. But what I'm looking at is this. I'm going to look at it. Let's just say we agree to disagree on why the testimony got him free and all that. Here's my other problem that I have with this. I'm trying to figure out why all these women had the same attorney. That leaves a level of consistency in stories. When you go in and you sit down and you talk to your client, you can embellish everything that they say. You can tie it into the other 12, the other 13, 14, 15, 16 people. You can all make it a level of consistency. I got an issue with that. Here's the other thing. I look at it like this. I think most of the things that happened in that trial was leading up to what I say would defeat Bill Cosby in a civil case. There was no doubt in my mind that he was going to lose the civil case, which I'm just going to be honest. I still to this day don't understand how even a person like OJ could be found not guilty criminally, but then found guilty civilly. So you didn't get convicted for killing these people, but you're going to pay these people's family for them being dead. That makes no sense to me, even to this point in my life, as old as I am and understand how the judicial system works.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I don't disagree with that necessarily.
Then why are these women winning cases civilly against Bill Cosby? Because that's the same situation with OJ.
That's the system we live in.
Okay. And that's the system he was being set up for. Because Bill, let me tell you something about Bill Cosby. I don't know him personally, but I go off of his. I'm sorry?
He set himself up. Don't hear public service announcement to everybody listening. Don't be drugging bitches to knock them out to have sex with them. And then you don't have to worry about being tried and convicted for drugging bitches to knock them out to have sex with them.
Well,
that seems simple to me.
Allegedly, he did that. But did anybody ever this? Here go a question I got to ask you. Here go a question that I don't know if you know the answer to. And I want all the people out here to answer this question for me real fast. You talk about Bill Cosby and the drugs, right? Did anybody ever ask Bill Cosby if he did drugs that night with those women? Did anybody ever ask, or is it anywhere in the documentation if he was involved in drug use with those women?
I don't know.
Oh, so you don't think that's a huge question that could be answered? So in other words, if a woman accuses a man for in today's world, like today, young man take this girl over and have a bag of weed and they get high, they do grown folk shit. The next day she accused him of rape. Okay. And then when they go down and they ask her, well, what was y'all doing? And she said, we were smoking weed. We were doing certain things together.
Why are you using weed? He was giving these.
Okay, Molly's, whatever. I'm just using a drug. I'm just using anything that I know dudes use. Dudes do that with girls. They use weed or whatever, Molly's, whatever the hell these young folks are out here doing.
Let me ask you this, because I understand the question that you're asking. I understand the question that you're asking. I don't know that it's a fair question, and it's a very
fair question.
I'm gonna tell you why I don't think it's a fair question. I don't think it's a fair question because I guess I have to ask you a real quick question first. Do you drink alcohol?
I do not.
Have you
I
ever
don't do
drank
drugs. I don't drink. We just lost a few.
Okay. I know a person or two who drinks. Okay. But they know how much they can drink before they lose control. So, because here's the premise that you're saying. If Bill Cosby took the drugs that he gave these women, then that lends to the idea that it was consensual. I would argue I might drink a beer, which my understanding is a beer is nowhere near as strong as, I don't know, some straight Hennessy or something like that, right? So you could say, well, were you drinking alcohol? Well, yeah, I had a beer, but I gave her 6 shots of Hennessy. Everything ain't equal, and I know what I can take. So then the idea would be, well, Emmanuel was drinking alcohol, and he gave her alcohol, so they were on equal footing. But that wouldn't necessarily be true. So just because Bill Cosby took a Quaalude, but he gave this chick 2, he know his body tolerance, and he's a big man. So he know he can deal with 1 Quaalude.
Well, wait
it
a
might
minute.
make him feel good, but he know if he give her 2,
hold
he
on.
out.
On your logic, you're basically saying that the drug abuse was consensual.
No.
Well, wait a minute. On your example, you just made it consensual, and that's not what sent him to jail was consensual drug use.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not. The reason for the analogy was to point out the fact that just because I take a little bit of
levels of drugs,
okay,
different levels of drugs, but there also comes.
I take Quaalude, but I slip you 3. Just because I was doing a Quaalude and gave you 3, don't necessarily mean we on equal footing.
No, but it also sets the tone of what's going on. If you listen, I'm not saying that if you put yourself in a position to be robbed, you need to be robbed. I'm not saying if you put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of sexually that it should happen. I'm not saying that at all, and I'm not trying to justify that. I'm just saying that when you say that there's consensual drug use, it takes away the whole argument of someone being illegally drugged. Because if you took drugs knowingly that you were taking something that could take your mind away or inebriate you, then you don't have any argument about what's going on with you at that point. I can't say not argument, but it reduces the liability of what happens to you. That's just what it is.
But again, for me, the fallacy in that argument is just because, Wyatt, if I slip you 3 Quaaludes and you don't know you got them, and I take 1 myself because I know I can handle it, and then we go to court because I don't know, I stole some of your money or whatever while you was knocked out. Then we go to court and I'm like, hold on. We was both taking drugs. Test my system. I got Quaaludes in there too. That don't prove that you knew I was giving you Quaaludes, bro. It don't prove anything.
No, but once a jury hears that we were using drugs casually, that opens up an irresponsible behavior pattern, which is going to be very hard for somebody to get a conviction when there's neutral and consent to drug use on both parties. I'm not saying that he didn't slip more and extra and all that, but when you open the door of doing drugs with an individual, what happens to you, the liability on that person sitting across from you, it goes lower and lower and lower. It's like a drug dealer going to the police because another dope boy robbed him. It's the same principle. You look crazy as hell going to the police, telling on some shit because you did something illegal. I'm sitting here selling dope to the community. I get my door kicked in by some robbers, and then I go to the police and report, hey, man, they stole all my weed. They stole all my drugs and shit. You can't do that.
You got a dude who has openly and publicly said he's got this thing about having sex with knocked out women, all right? You got this dude.
That's what you say.
You can go look it up. You got this dude who has admitted to getting drugs to give to women for the purposes of having sex with them. Okay. And then you've got these women who said, at least one woman testified. Look, I went there. I said I had a headache. He said he was giving me something for the headache. Next thing I know,
and that's what she said.
This end.
That's what she said.
Butt naked, and I'm waking up.
That's what a few of them said. All of them having to come up to his room with a headache. E-Man, let's take a call, bro. Your internet is popping on and off. Can you do something about it? I don't think you want to hear that shit you talking. I'm telling you, I don't think the internet want to hear that shit.
Let me see if I can.
Let me take a call while you try to fix that. Is that okay?
That's all right.
Hey, caller, this is Wyatt. I'm sorry, this is King and I. You're speaking to Wyatt and Emmanuel. What's going on? Who am I speaking with?
What up, King? And that I, which stands for idiot, Emmanuel Livingston. This Drop Squad 52, also known as the Black Knot Democrat. Open your ears, E-Man, because the name of your show is appropriate. The King is on the left of my screen, and the I, which it is clear from this last exchange that the I stands for idiot. Emmanuel Livingston, I know what you're gonna say. Oh, I didn't hear what he said. My headphones were off. I was trying to fix my shut. E-Man, you sound like a fool. How you doing, Mr. Wyatt?
We here, bro. We here. What's good with you?
Man, I almost missed your show. I just came back from walking while retired out here on the left coast. I picked y'all up around 10:30. And when I turn it on, I hear Emmanuel Livingston arguing about the Bill Cosby case. And the last verdict in the civil court, he was found guilty. That's all about money.
Absolutely.
In the original case, which was a NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, what do they call that, Wyatt? When you give a deposition and it's supposed to be secret because you agreed
right. and it passed
to
on.
make.
Correct. I'm sorry, Drop. Go ahead. You asked. I was going to elaborate, but go ahead.
Yeah. What is it called? Wyatt? What's the professional
when
name
they
for
gave him immunity,
when you give a deposition?
It gives him immunity from any it's going to give him it gives him immunity, basically
immunity from any future
conviction.
Prosecution.
Absolutely.
And that is agreed upon by all parties involved. Bill Cosby got caught up in the Me Too movement in Philadelphia. That's what happened. And they opened up that case, which was supposed to be closed. And then as soon as they opened that shit up, the floodgates opened. I think it was over 20 some women. And then we get this civil case last week from a woman who said she was 16 back in 1970 something.
Right.
And she wins what? How long did the case last? A week?
No. So, actually, it was 7 years old, but once it got to trial, it lasted. It was a few days. It was like 2 weeks maybe. And right. What was going on is she won $500,000.
Right, and the reason it took 7 years because the woman was judge shopping. And again, like I said, why E-Man, I don't know why he does it, but he doesn't do his homework on stuff. He goes with speculation and conjecture. He said, she said stuff, and you coming with real facts of what happened during the court proceedings. Now, again, Bill Cosby is an old man. He gonna pay for what he did to those women. But like you said, Wyatt, and unlike what E-Man said, if your goal is to drug the woman, okay, you're going to give it to her because she's open to drinking, she's open to other things. That's why she's there. Who knows? But the point is, I'm just pointing out to E-Man that he's losing all credibility. He needs to end this debate. I love it because y'all was going back and forth, but because E-Man, you don't have a leg to stand on, no pun intended. But it's kind of like the January 6th committee, who just announced about an hour ago that they're going to have a special session tomorrow because they claim they got some new information. Now, again, last week before the Roe v. Wade case was announced, the gun control case was announced, they said that they were done with the hearings up until next month. But all of a sudden, because they see what the response is because of the Roe v. Wade decision, Democrats got to change the narrative. And it's the same thing. January 6th is using the court of public opinion, just like these women who are filing civil cases against Bill Cosby. it is the public opinion is that, like E-Man said, Bill Cosby is a creep. He run around telling people, giving stand-up jokes that he go drug women. Everybody should know Bill Cosby drugging people. Okay, if that's the case, E-Man, why are all these women so anxious to spend time with Bill Cosby, the man that you claim everybody knows that's his MO, drugging women and taking advantage. But it's clear from that original case that was settled with a non-disclosure agreement that anything he said would not be held against him in a court of law. Now you get the right judge, you get the right cultural situation, you get Democrats running around with the Me Too movement, going after Republicans, going after people who not Democrats, and they happen to be black. You know the name, right, E-Man? Black, not Democrat. But I know you're a Democrat, so I'm done with my filibuster,
well,
Mr. White. E-Man, you back?
Yeah, he's having some issues with his connection. We're working on it, and I want to hear his response to it. But let me ask you a question, Drop. What do you think? Why do you think that the new prosecutor came into the office and used that evidence against an immunity situation against Bill Cosby? Would you think that was information? Do you think that the case was weak, or do you think they had a strong enough case to get a conviction without using that evidence?
They had to use the evidence that was in that deposition. That was the only, because it was
in order to get the conviction.
What he did.
Right.
But he basically, and the women who were involved said, yeah, they agreed to be with Bill Cosby, have drinks or whatever, but they didn't agree to him having sex with them without their permission because of the effects of the drug. That's not saying that Bill Cosby would have got the panties anyway, drugs or no drugs.
And it also doesn't say
what Bill Cosby liked to do, and he admitted it in a court proceeding, which at the time was not supposed to be used against him in a criminal case.
But it also never said that there was not mutual drug use. The women never said that Bill Cosby never testified and said that he didn't do drugs. No one ever even asked that question. This was a civil case just being set up. This was never really a criminal case in its purpose, because think about it. If I can convict you on a criminal charge, why would I give you immunity on a testimony that you're going to get? I don't need your testimony to get a conviction, number one, if my case is strong. So
exactly,
why would I get a confession from you and then give you immunity if you bring it to my case? Because that's what you use. That's what you use down the line for a civil charge. And these women agreed to it. When they talked to their attorney, they said, listen, it's going to be tough for us to get a conviction, a criminal conviction. However, if we can get the judge, if we can get the prosecution, if we agree that he did something and he can admit that he did something, then we can carry that over to a civil case and we'll get the money. We'll get the money. We might not get a conviction on jail time. Here's the other thing. E-Man, can you hear us?
I can hear you. And again, you misstated some facts there. That was one case where that basketball coach or whatever, that was her agreement. But you're saying it as if all of these women made that agreement, but that's not the truth.
Listen, when you have one attorney representing the group of them, one attorney speaks for all.
That was before this case came about.
What are you talking about?
That case with Gloria, the case with Gloria Constand or whatever, all of those other women had no ties to that case.
Yes, they did.
What are you talking about, bro?
They didn't.
Huh? You talking about the 16-year-old situation?
No, I'm talking about
the group of women that sued him.
No.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Gloria Constand, who sued him. One person filed a lawsuit against him, and that was where this came from. That wasn't a class. That was one individual who sued him.
Okay, a civil case.
And had that settlement. One person.
A civil case.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were referring to a criminal charge, a criminal case on him. That's not. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah, no, you said it like all of them agreed to a settlement and agreed to the immunity deal. And that was not the case.
Let's be fair, E-Man. That is the case for that group of women that was being represented by that one.
There was no group. That whole immunity deal came from a case that one woman had against Andrea Constand. That's one person.
Right.
Andrea is not a group of people.
So wait a minute.
One individual.
So wait a minute. The testimony, the testimony that he gave that he got an immunity deal for, who was that supposed to be? Who was that for?
Andrea Constand.
So it wasn't for the whole group of the other women.
No.
Yes, that's the case that got thrown out because of the technicality. So why would you think? That they didn't use the testimony in the one case? They used it on the multiple women case. You see what I'm saying? So why would they give an immunity case to a group of women with that much witnesses? If you can't get a conviction with 23 testimonies against you, how you gonna get a testimony? How you gonna get a conviction with one testimony against you?
I can't lie. I don't understand the idea that's going on here that we're Did he admit to doing something?
Yes, he admitted with the drugs, but what's never discussed. Okay? It's not okay. But what I'm telling you is, when there's mutual
drug, how is that okay? How do you justify drugging women for sex?
E-Man, you need to do your homework, bro. I'm looking at the case right here. There was multiple women that joined the Constand. The case.
How do you justify drugging women for sex?
But see, again, E-Man, before I hang up, bro, I'm glad to have you back. But again, like I said, the king
it's a
is on the left.
on the table. How do you justify drugging women for
that's
sex?
the idiot, at least in this segment of the show, because you're not doing your homework.
I can
you're using conjecture and you speculating.
I can say
pull up the stuff on the computer, E-Man.
I'm asking you a
read
question.
The case, my brother.
I'm asking you a question.
Thanks for taking my call. Y'all keep going. This is what I like. Like I told you in my last call, I want to hear y'all argue.
Simple question.
I think he left.
No, I'm still here. I'm listening.
Oh no, he had a question. He said, "How do you justify drugging women and having sex with them?"
I never said that what he did was justified. I'm telling you about the original case that got Bill Cosby locked up. Then the case was thrown out by a higher court, and then the following civil case that just happened last week. That's all I'm talking about, E-Man. What originally happened in that deposition, which was agreed on by both parties.
And who were both parties?
Against Bill Cosby, if he admits
who were the parties?
Because from what I read, the women didn't accuse him of rape. They did not accuse him of rape.
Don't answer no questions, because that's what you
They did not like the fact that he took advantage of them while they were under the influence. That's all, E-Man.
Well, I'll say this. I think there's a huge difference between drugging a woman and you and a woman are doing drugs together. If you and a woman are doing drugs together, I'm not justifying any form of rape, but I think it opens the door a little bit of.
Well, drop definitely is.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Drop is.
Oh, well, I think where Drop is, and I don't want to speak for him. I'm not even going to try to speak for Drop. I'm just saying that I think
that's what he was doing.
Well, I think what we're talking about is the fact that it was somewhat of a fraudulent case that I think you can see it from the front end and watch it go on.
But Wyatt, we agreed at 10 that what they did was, from a legal perspective, wrong, and that Bill Cosby getting off on that technicality was because he had immunity that had been agreed to in that one case. We agreed to that over an hour ago.
Yeah,
but the suggestion is that without that admission, there's no way to convict him.
Then why use it? I think that's what
They used it. They were wrong, but that don't mean that there's no way.
E-man, trust and believe. You got a councilman, former councilman, being charged for corruption. The FBI is not going to use anything in that case that might give him a technicality of walking away from a conviction. They're not going to use anything. The only reason you would take that chance is because you have a weak case. If you take a chance of convicting someone with some dirty evidence, if somebody drops something in there knowing that it's dirty and it shouldn't be used, that means they have a weak case. Why do that?
Wyatt, has anyone ever been convicted with a weak case?
Well, of course. That's good. I mean, there's been people. There's been people.
I'm not talking to drop. He didn't want to answer the question. He just wanted to get on there and ramble.
Keep doing what y'all doing. I like y'all chemistry. All right, peace out, y'all. Shout out West Coast.
I can't get anyone who wants to catch it. Bugging chicks to knock them out is cool. So I'm done with him. But
I understand. I'm not justifying the fact
you putting out there that there's no way they could have got a conviction without that evidence. You know ain't true, because you've seen people get convicted with lesser cases than that. I guarantee it.
Yes, I've also seen people get off with strong cases against them.
Right. So then there is no way for you to say with 100% certainty that without that statement, without that admission, it's a guarantee he wouldn't have been convicted.
Well,
and
I'm just going to say this to you.
Which is where over an hour later, that was the only point that I was making to you, is that you can't say with 100% certainty that without that admission, he would not have been convicted, because you've seen people convicted on less. So there's no way you can say that.
What you don't understand, E-Man, is this. Even if they could have gotten a conviction with less evidence, it makes absolutely no sense to bring in messy, dirty evidence to secure a conviction. That's how you lose.
Again, we agreed on that.
I know, but that proves my point that they didn't have a strong case that probably would have lost. The fact that you brought that in just opens the door up for a civil case, and that's all it is. And for them to even get a conviction was wrong by the judge. He didn't even do his due diligence by allowing it to be introduced in the case.
But Wyatt, we agreed on that over an hour ago.
I get it, bro. But what you don't understand, okay, then what am I not understanding? Since we agreed an hour ago, what don't I get in this shit? What am I not catching?
Here's a few things that you're not catching. You're not catching, number one, that Bill Cosby is just a predator. That's number one. You're not catching that. Number two, you're not catching that it lends to the credibility of the people who say he slipped them something to knock them out, the fact that he has publicly said that he likes or fantasizes about doing that. That's number two. And then the thing that you weren't getting, which you have now went on ahead and said, well, yeah, that's true, which was the only point that I was making, is that you said he would not, and I asked you with 100% certainty, and you said you know it with 100% certainty that he would not and could not have been convicted on that if they didn't use that testimony.
I didn't quite say it that way. I said to you, like I said before, that when a prosecutor is trying to get a case, when they're trying to do you in, if they got enough evidence, it logically makes no sense to bring in dirty evidence or stuff that you're not supposed to use to get a conviction if you feel you have a strong case. The only reason why they would do that to him is because they don't have a strong case that they felt they could win. They felt like they could win. It makes no sense to bring in evidence when let's just say that the United States of America take me downtown tomorrow to testify against PG Sittenfeld, and they say, well, Wyatt, you were supposed to give PG $50,000. And it never happened. It's a pure lie. But they use me to go down there and testify in the court, and I just flat out lie. And then they catch us in a lie. Why would the government send me down there to fake testify or to bring relevance to a case to get him convicted when it's not necessary based on all the great evidence they already have? Why would you use more bad testimony or evidence? Why would you manufacture something when you know it's not supposed to be there? If you have a strong enough case to win.
Wyatt, I don't know why we keep rehashing this, because they understood that it's difficult to get a he said, she said case and win it. And if you got the smoking gun, you pull out the smoking gun. We've agreed that what they had was a case of he said, they said. And when you're going up against a dude with all of those resources and with that type of notoriety and influence and popularity, it's a difficult case to win. What
So
they
let me
did
ask you
was
this.
wrong.
Let me ask you this. Are you saying to me right here on these airs that Bill Cosby had influence of the court? Are you saying to me that he had so much influence that he beat this case because of his influence?
No, that's not
He
what
would
I'm
have
saying.
went to jail if they would have never caught that technicality. They did not treat that black man. He was treated just like anybody else that didn't have any privilege in this world. They shamed him. They did everything they had to do to make him look bottomless. And they did that man like that. Now, I'm not saying that he's not guilty of doing drugs and being affiliated with all this drug stuff. I'm not saying any of that. But to say that he had privilege in court, I don't think so. You're talking about somebody that, no, you can't say that.
Wyatt,
yo,
can I answer the question?
yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying that his influence was, I guess, technically with the court. But if you put Michael Jackson on trial,
which they did,
right? You know that a whole lot of people know Michael Jackson. A whole lot of people have fond memories of Michael Jackson's music, and therefore they have a positive outlook on Michael Jackson. So you know it's going to be difficult to get a conviction from a jury against a Michael Jackson or a Bill Cosby. That's the influence, a portion of the influence that I'm saying that a Bill Cosby had when it came to any court case. Now, again, was the prosecutor wrong for violating the immunity deal? Sure. Did the prosecutor probably feel like he had a weak case with respect to this because he didn't have any physical evidence, semen and all of that kind of stuff, and he just had the word of a very well-known and very well-liked celebrity over some young women, or were potentially young at the time? Sure, he thought he had a weak case, and sure, he was concerned about whether or not he could actually get a conviction against this multi-million-dollar well-known celebrity with
who got convicted.
Huh?
Who got convicted? Who spent more money defending himself?
Got convicted beforehand.
Well, what I'm saying, you're setting the precedent. You're setting the precedent that because he's a millionaire or whatever, that he can't be done in, which Bill Cosby was done in.
I never said that. I never suggested that. What I'm saying and suggesting is that people with resources stand a better chance in the legal system that we have. And Bill Cosby had a lot of resources. Therefore, you know you got to bring the best case you can against somebody because he's got the money to hire the defense to represent him in the best way possible. So again, was the prosecutor wrong in doing that? Apparently, because Bill Cosby's out now. But
okay. Let's take a call, E-Man. Let's take a call because Mary Myers is on the line. She's been calling. Mary Myers, my brother says what happened is I had a call ahead of you and somebody was on hold, so I couldn't take the call. They hung up. You called back. So what's good? What's happening? Tell us what's going on.
You guys are really crazy. This is so insane. It really is. Bill Cosby is a sexual predator, point blank. And for any man to want to try to uphold him or what he did, it's just insane. I don't even understand. I can't believe it, Wyatt. I am just totally blown away. I really am.
What part?
It doesn't make sense. I mean, why are you? You're not making no point. You really aren't. I mean, for anything, I'm a survivor of sexual abuse by a teacher. And it's ridiculous. I mean, really, I'm really upset. I am so heated.
Well, Miss Mary,
definitely right. We do not have to uphold. I don't care what he got, how much money he got, what he did, for him to sit up there and mistreat them ladies was ridiculous. Yeah, he was drugging them. Nobody said that they were doing drugs together. He tried to trick them. That's what sexual predators do. That's what a predator does anyway. By any means necessary, they try to get the end game, and his was the stand. And no, this just hurts me to my heart to think that men, black men, that try to really needs to stick by the women and to uphold these women are sitting here, you know, trying to support him.
Well, I don't know if
I'm hurt.
Miss Mary,
I
I don't
and,
know.
And especially, who cares if that lady did not want to report it in 1970 something? She was emotionally scarred. She was scarred by Bill Cosby. For him to be whatever kind of man, whatever the situation was going on, she felt that she could not even come. The Me Too movement opened the floodgates for a lot of women who felt they had no voice to be able to have a voice now. It doesn't matter. And so I'm a licensed therapist. I work with these women that come in here that have been violated by parents, by foster parents, by their brothers, by all their granddad. It's crazy. I am really upset. I'm heated. It's no way he don't get no pass. I commend Emmanuel for being a stand-up king. Yes, he is. Whoever that fool was in California, he probably, you know, it makes me look at men in a different way when I hear you say these things. It's no excuse. It is not. And I work with these people. Like I said, I'm not just talking about my personal experience. I'm talking about the women and the men. I've had so many men clients that come in that have been violated, crying in my offices, and the things that these sexual predator deviants do to try to get them. It's ridiculous. And it's nothing. I don't give a darn anything, whatever happened. Ain't all those women gonna come together? There's class action, suit, whatever. He's guilty. And now all of a sudden he wanna go blind and all this nonsense, and all these men that's in the comments talking about, yeah. Bill Cosby don't give a damn about nobody but himself. He's selfish. Now all of a sudden he's blind. I'm just so upset. I'm heated.
Well, Miss
So
Mary, take
all
a
the
breath.
convention that you saying is BS. And for any man to have a daughter who can really uphold any kind of person, if you thought that a person did some stuff, I would be really appalled and not even let my child, or either I wouldn't deal with it. I even worked in a facility with men that were all on the sexual predator list. You know, the sexual list that they have out in the community, out in Lebanon, right across from the prison. I used to work there. And it's a shame. They need help. They really do. But I'm not buying it. It's no way. I'm so happy that Emmanuel is there, that we don't have to listen to just the mess that you saying today, Wyatt. I'm so happy.
Well, here, let me tell you the mess that I'm saying. Everything that I'm talking about is court related.
Okay, who cares about court? Well,
Okay,
big deal. Let him run his own thing in court. He got enough money. He played enough of that stuff. Who cares? Popular opinion is more important than what the court say. We not winning in the court. No way. We black. We not winning. We not winning. And to sit up and waste my energy and trying to protect him, I don't care who it is. It's sickening. It really is. I don't care nothing about it. You ain't making no money on it. Next question, go to something else, because this one is a new case. It really is. It's not uplifting nothing. We need to really look at these people that have all this trauma. Then we worry about why these kids are going out there killing people, why they're having so much corruption, you know, with our children. Our children are suffering, and they've been suffering for a long time. And until we as people stop trying to protect these deviants, we're just spinning wheels. It just don't make sense. It really doesn't. And it's just a waste of time. And I really want to commend Emmanuel. I'm so happy. And I have all these men. It's just like the abortion thing. You know, why so many men want to be in charge of it? It's not your body.
Well, Miss Mary, there's a ton of ladies.
For all the people that have called in, this fool out in California, he need to be ashamed of himself.
Miss Mary,
he really does.
Miss Mary, I'm glad you brought something up about the Roe versus Wade, because we were going to talk about that. I'm glad you said that it's a lot of men making these decisions or are out here saying what's going on. But what I see out there is I see a lot of women on both sides of the argument. I don't just see a bunch of people out there against women's rights. I see a lot of women out there that are arguing about women, you know, pro-lifers are on. There's, you know, I'm a pro-choice guy. Okay, but I'm just gonna be honest. I see a 50-50 split of women being out there saying abortion is bad. And then I see the split is pretty even from what I see. I don't know about you, E-Man. What do you see?
I think I'm like you. I see like a 50-50 split. And of course, I think that the idea is that a lot of people don't kind of get into the minutia of it. And I think that's where people are making their decisions. But I really don't think it's people trying to control women's bodies.
I got you. Miss Mary, you still there? Uh-oh, that's my fault. I hit a button. You still there, Miss Mary?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, my apologies. I hit a button by accident while E-Man was talking. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Great. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, I agree. I mean, it's a very touchy subject with that. I don't really like abortion, but I understand it. And it's a very touchy subject. And but I think it is a lot of Caucasian, and then we got this fool in that the Supreme Court, Thomas, with his mess. You know what I'm saying? These men are trying to do, if they're gonna do all this, then they don't need to be giving people the daggone Viagra. I'm serious about that. I am wholehearted about that. If you want to control what goes on with the woman, then you need to do some controlling on what's going on with a man.
Nobody's trying to control what's going on with a woman, though.
It really isn't. And whatever it is, I've seen it, and it's not 50-50. They just did a poll, and it's very close, but it's more people that are pro-choice than is pro-abortion. And that's the reason why it's really gone really ridiculous out here with this. It's sad. It is sad. You know, I think a lot of women have abused it in the past, but you know, some women, let me not say a lot, but some women have. But it's definitely much needed. I had a client not too recently told me that she gave birth to her stepfather, who's her sister's father's child, when she was 13 years old.
Yeah, well, you know, there's tragedies going on out here. And that's one of the reasons, Miss Mary, E-Man, that I'm pro-choice, because I really don't feel like someone should tell you what to do with your body. But I'm so much on the fence that I don't want to burn the candle from both ends, because I think it's a sensitive situation. I understand pro-lifers' perspective. I really get it. But at the same time, I understand pro-choice, because I lean more towards pro-choice because of circumstances. Circumstances could play a huge part in a person's decision. Circumstances make our decisions each day. Things that we face, things that we could potentially face, we make our decisions on what we do each day based on what could happen tomorrow if we make a decision today.
I should be left up to the individual.
Yeah, but here's the pro-life point of view.
Let me say, I agree it should be left up to the individual, but nobody's trying to control a woman's body.
But that's what they're trying to do. Yes,
No,
they are. They're trying to control a woman's body.
No, they're not.
You sure you still like E-Man?
Nobody said, here's why they're not trying to control your body, Mary.
Hold on a second, Miss Mary. Put your seatbelt on. He about to tell you.
Mary, the Supreme Court saying we're not going to accept this as some God-given right is not it. Now, they're not forcing you to get pregnant. They're not, we're talking about the government. They're not forcing you to get pregnant. The government is not forcing you to carry that child to term. The government may be saying, look, we don't appreciate or agree with the idea of killing that baby. But you have many options. There's a lot of different ways that you can handle that situation. Now, what you were suggesting, well, not you, but somebody was suggesting something about a mandatory vasectomies. Now that would be controlling somebody's body. You're telling them you must do this with your body. But to say, I'm not going to sanction you doing that with your body is different than trying to control your body. Actually, I think more people would wish you exercised more control over your body and made better decisions with your body than the government or any other entity happened to step in and say, we're not going to sanction that.
So, Miss Mary, let me ask you something. Do you feel that the ruling that just came down from the Supreme Court is against women? But I see a lot of people talking right now, Miss Mary, and I know you're a passionate person, so I don't mean this in a way like to be funny, but I see a lot of people out here making the argument that the Supreme Court just took the decision out of a woman of being able to have an abortion. Do you see it that way?
Yes, definitely.
How, Miss
Yeah,
Mary?
they're trying to control it. They're trying to put it back to the states, and they know that it's going to be a lot of controversy on the state level because they have all these Republican states that are saying, no, that you can't have them in my state. So yes, they are. It's obvious. I think it should be a person's personal choice. I really do.
So you feel that the government
to do that, then that's on their conscience.
So you feel that the government should be in a position to allow people to make their own choice. That's the angle you coming from, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so the Supreme Court is not in the business of making judgments on things that are not in the Constitution. Okay, that's not what they do. So when a woman wants the right to have an abortion, it's not a constitutional right. Now, keep in mind, Miss Mary, before you go off on me, I'm pro-choice. So we're on the same team. Okay, we really are. But I got to open up my rationality and I got to be real about this. I got to tell you that I don't want the Supreme Court making decisions for me that are not constitutional basis, because then that means they can make other decisions that have nothing to do with the Constitution, and I'm not with that. If you look at it, I've always, on Wyatt Live, I've always pushed local government is more important than federal. And this is a perfect example of what I mean by that. I would rather have to deal with my state legislator because I can touch them. I can feel them. We're more engaged with our local government, from city council to our to our state representatives to our governor. We're more engaged with that individual than we are the people up in DC. So I would want more of the people that are closer to me, who I'm engaged with, who I vote in office to control. If there's going to be any level of control, I want to be able to say, hey, let's vote this individual in because they understand the lifestyle that we're trying to live here. When you have Supreme Court overstepping their guidelines or their position, that only opens up the door for other things to happen like that. That's my
I know, but the whole thing about it, Wyatt, is what's going to happen is every administration that goes out locally. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. We hear you.
Yeah, every time a new administration comes in, the laws are going to change on a state level.
Well,
so,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's Miss Mary.
If they're in this state,
Miss Mary, you said it. Miss Mary,
and then they're going to change the laws, then they're going to change it back. That's insane.
Miss Mary, you have to understand that's what democracy is. It's the people making the decision. It's not the government making the decision for you. It's the people saying, let's get together and we're going to vote on something to make it right or wrong. This is where we want to live. This is what we want in our democracy. That's what America is based on. It's not having a Supreme Court making a decision, because you got to keep in mind, Miss Mary, there's two people on there's pro and there's pro-lifers and there's pro-lifers and there's pro-choice. And here's what I don't like when people say this, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, and you may not have ever said this, but I've been listening to this. I don't like when people throw the race card in and say this is detrimental to Black folks, as if there's no Black women out there that are pro-life. So are they racist too? Are they against their communities because they believe that concept that a baby is born, that a baby is living right away? And I don't like when I watched a press conference right here in Cincinnati, locally by city council, and all of them used the same thing. They made it a racial situation. They made it all about Black women, Black people. That's what they use to get our guard down, when in fact there are Black women on the front line of pro-life and pro-choice.
That's true.
That's not a fair approach to this situation. And then you got all these people talking about how this is making Supreme Court rule our lives. They're stepping out of your life. They're stepping out of a position that they have taken in 1975, Emmanuel?
Yep. And look, I don't think a lot of y'all are consistent. A lot of y'all ain't consistent. Y'all don't want the government telling y'all what to do with y'all bodies. Don't tell me what to do with my body. But y'all was quite comfortable with the government telling people what to do with their bodies, a year ago?
What about that vaccine? What about that vaccine that is now mandatory by your government?
They listen to y'all. And then this is the fruit of y'all labor.
So I need to know, E-Man, we all know here, because majority of the people love you. We all know that you had an episode, and I say majority, I say that lightly. I'm just saying, but we all know that you ran into an episode at your former employer. Now, who forced you? Okay, your job, your employer forced you to take the shot. You refused to do it because it was a mandate by who? The government, correct? Who wants to live in that America?
Well, not really, but
it wasn't a mandate.
No, they had, by the time I lost my job, the government had dropped that mandate. I think actually.
Okay, but at what point? But at a certain point, it was a mandate by the government for you to get a jab. Or see, here's what the people don't know. I don't know if you even know this. The government incentivized corporate America with this vaccine.
Yes, they did.
So they were pimping corporate America to make sure. They even did the United States government workers the same way. Mm-hmm. That's too much control, folks. That's too much control. You're going to sit back here and tell us we have, now y'all know I'm vaccinated, double vaxxed. I mean, I had my first shot and second shot. So I'm not, I can make an argument and still be part of the prey. I can do that. But it's not right for someone like you, Emmanuel, who was told you take this shot or you don't work here anymore. And then you had big business America compensated by the United States government. They were incentivized to get their employees vaccinated. That's too much control.
And you know how many people told me they're not forcing you to get vaccinated, Emmanuel. They're not trying to control you. You don't have to do it. You can just deal with the consequences of not getting vaccinated, lose your job, lose your livelihood, not be able to go anywhere, not be able to do anything. It's not forcing you if you have other options. Ladies, is it forcing you if you have other options? See, that's all I'm saying. I'm against it. I'm against them making abortion illegal. I am pro-choice as well as pro-life. I am, like you say, burn that candle at both ends. I believe that life begins very early on. Exactly where, I'm not sure, but very early on. So I believe if you get an abortion, you are murdering a baby. I'm sorry, y'all don't like that word, terminating a pregnancy. So like when Arnold Schwarzenegger came as the Terminator, he wasn't murdering people, he was terminating lives. So, okay, you terminating that life, since for whatever reason that feel better to y'all. That's what I believe, but that's my personal belief. I'm not trying to make you believe it. And I don't think that nobody should stop you from getting an abortion if that's what you choose to do, because I believe you should have that choice. But I don't believe that Not offering that as an option is forcing you to do anything. When y'all use that, you forcing me. I just keep going back to if and you don't know how many women was telling me they not forcing you to do anything. They not forcing you to do anything. You could just deal with the consequences. You can just deal. You got other options. Well, then, if they not forcing me, they wasn't forcing you. So don't use that argument with me. Even though I'm against forcing anybody to do anything with their body, I believe we should all have a choice. But you got other options.
And being in a state that allows abortion, for instance, soon as the Supreme Court decision came down, they have these things called trigger laws, where there were states that already had their new law in place once this decision came down. And we have a connecting state being Kentucky. I mean, within walking distance of Cincinnati, where they completely shut down. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's against the law in Kentucky to have any form of abortion, no matter what week or trimester, whatever. It's just illegal. Now, you have a Democratic governor over there that could possibly overturn that, because you have, and I'm assuming here that most Democrats are pro-choice and most Republicans are probably, and I say most loosely, but most Republicans are probably more about pro-life, right? If I'm not mistaken, because they tend to have these arguments on the air all the time about those Republicans they try to take our liberties and all that. I get it. But you have a Democratic governor over in Kentucky, and if they want that law to change on abortion, I say he should be able to do what he needs to do as the governor. If the majority voters in Kentucky feel like abortion should be legal, and here's the thing, I'm not against abortion. I do think that there is a level of acceptance. That's hard for me to say, because there are, like in Ohio, isn't it 20 weeks or something like that? 20 weeks before anything after 20 weeks or something like that. Can somebody help me with that?
I thought it was like 8.
Is it 8 in Ohio?
I have to look it up.
Let me see. I'm just, Miss Mary, do you know? She's still with us?
I don't know.
Well,
I have no idea.
Well, I believe Planned Parenthood, if I'm not mistaken, it was a 20-week situation, which would give you 4 months or something like that. Is that what it is for? Something
That
like
sounds
that?
about right.
Okay, 4 or 5 months or something like that, which is a long, to me, quite frankly, in 4 or 5 months, I know you have a human inside of you. I know you have a heartbeat. You have a human inside of you. It's not my place. Let me just be clear for the record. It is not my place to decide on what a woman does with their body. Not my place at all. My argument has never been if abortion should be legal or illegal. Only argument I've ever had in this whole thing is when people say that the Supreme Court made the wrong decision. They just got out of the way of something they had no business in the first place. And when I see people out here giving the false narratives of Supreme Court just gave away and don't care nothing about women's bodies and their rights, that's not exactly what's going on here. And I just don't like to see my people mad when it's not necessary. I think you need to look up and approach it a different way. Now, when you hear even Biden, President Biden didn't even do us any service by telling the truth about it. He, in a sense, said it's all about how you vote. It's all about how you vote. And he allowed certain people, he allowed Democrats to be angry and say that this is a movement on women's rights. He allowed that to be said when, in fact, he's been in politics 50 years. He knows exactly what this ruling means. He means it's now at a state level. He knows exactly what it means. And for him to be naive to the fact shows you that I don't think he's playing straight.
Let me say this. I just looked. Ohio has the heartbeat bill, which they say became law when the Supreme Court made that decision, which they say is about 6 weeks into a pregnancy. So when a heartbeat can be detected, that's when you can't have an abortion in Ohio, according to the law.
I get it.
Really scared because a lot of women don't even know they're pregnant at 6 weeks.
Right.
That is just,
And I don't know that, but I take it because you're a woman, Miss Mary. But I'm just saying.
I've had babies, and the whole thing about it too is, especially if you are the victim of some kind of abuse, and you find out you're pregnant, if you were raped or something happened to you, you find out you're pregnant, and then you don't find, you're already traumatized, so you probably don't go to the doctor right away. You're going through a lot of emotional things, and then when you finally get there, you might be 3 months.
Well, let me ask you this, Miss Mary, without trying to sound insensitive. My apologies, E-Man, if you're about to say something. If you go through a tragedy as a woman, this is going to sound ridiculous because I've never been there in my life. I can't imagine going through unwanted sex or being abused or something of that nature. If you go through that, don't you think that it's a little, I know, I'm not saying it's easy to do this, but after going through a tragedy of a rape or something, I would think that once you go to the police and report this situation, if you do that.
Stop going to the police, Wyatt. Come on now.
Wait, Miss Mary, I didn't get the question there. I was using that part of my dialect. I'm saying, don't you think it's important, even if you don't go to the police? Let's say you don't go to the police. Don't you think it would be important to maybe go to the doctor right after something like this happens, just in case something like a pregnancy occurs during that trauma?
Can I answer?
Yes, ma'am.
No, that does not even sound anywhere like what goes on. That doesn't happen. Women are going through trauma. They're not thinking about, most of them are afraid to go. They might be threatened not to go, especially not to the police, and then not to the doctor, because if you go to the doctor, they're gonna ask you what's going on, and then you're gonna have to report it. So no, that's not how it goes when a woman is a victim.
Okay. And like I said, Miss Mary, I value.
That sounds like a typical man thing. No.
Miss Mary, I wasn't.
And that's the reason why women don't tell, or especially when they're young women, even older women.
Okay. And Miss Mary, I asked that question. I posed that question to you so we can get a woman's perspective, especially someone like yourself who say you deal with people in tragedy. I mean, it makes sense.
I'm sorry, why? Can we thank Mary for her call?
Yeah, let's do that. Miss Mary, we appreciate you calling in. We're going to get a microphone over to E-Man so he can let me hear what he says about this. About
no problem.
The Roe
versus Wade. Thank you.
Yes,
ma'am. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks, Miss Mary.
I've never been a woman. Don't desire to be a woman. I will never be a woman. So I don't know how it all go down. I don't know what goes through. I'm sure different women deal with different things, different ways, because we all human. You know what I'm saying? So while Mary's like, no, when you traumatize, that's not how you think it. Maybe that wasn't how she was thinking. But I can guarantee there's some woman somewhere that's like, oh, I was traumatized, and the first thing I want to do is. So none of that blanket stuff for me. But I have an issue with the idea that it's the Supreme Court decision was an attempt to control a woman's body. It went back to the states. And one of the things that I don't know that a lot of people are talking about, I mean, there are a lot of people who are talking about it, but then there are a lot of people who are just talking. And I think people should gravitate toward the conversation about, maybe I don't like where it is right now, but that's where it is. And so if I don't like that decision and I don't like the law in my state, let's organize so that we can vote the people in to change the law to be what I want it to be. Because like you said, that's the government, that's the rules that we live under. So you can go and you can organize and advocate around the state. You don't just have to advocate in your area, around the state, for people who are, if you want Ohio to just be open, hey, come and kill a baby, you can advocate for lawmakers who believe, hey, come and kill a baby. If you believe that this heartbeat law is the right thing to do, then you should be advocating around the state for lawmakers who believe that heartbeat thing, wherever your position is. You don't, it's at the state, and the state is evil, and the state is bad, and you don't know our history if you think the state should have. Okay, but that's where it is now. And so you got to deal with where it is now. You can fight the other fights as well, but you got to deal with where it is now. So if you want Ohio to be a free-range abortion state, find representatives who believe like you, organize and advocate for them, and work to get them elected. That is your answer now. It's out the Supreme Court hand, which you couldn't influence them anyway, but you can actually influence your state legislature.
You have more power. There's more. That's what democracy is. You have the right to put the people in place that has your best interest. That's just how I feel. I mean, I feel that way. I'm with you on that one, brother. You want to take one more call?
Sure. Oh, hold on. Let me give out the alternative number.
Okay, hold on 1 second, caller. Go ahead.
One that ain't scrolling on the screen.
I'm sorry. Let me put that number up there too.
513-717-KING. 513.
We'll let you have the 15-minute, 20-minute callers. I'm sorry.
717-KING if you want to call in on the other number. Go ahead, Wyatt.
Go ahead, caller. This is King and I. Who are we speaking with?
Yeah, this is Say from the projects. How you doing?
Hey, Say from the projects. What's good with you?
Oh no, I'm just listening to the conversation. Couple things. Good to hear Emmanuel's voice again. I mean, honestly, I stopped listening to that former station he was on years ago. 10 years ago, if not longer. That was probably the last time I talked with him. And I'm not disappointed that I hadn't talked to him because he's spitting some whack shit today.
Okay, what conversation are you talking about?
Yeah, which one we talking?
I'm talking about your Bill Cosby conversation.
Oh, so you one of those people who like the fact that Bill Cosby.
We're not gonna split hairs. We're not gonna split hairs with this. Very simple when it comes to Bill Cosby. Victims don't take pills. Hoes do. All right? Just leave it there. There's nothing else to talk about that.
Well, it is. That is absolutely horrid. Horrible.
But it's factual.
It's not.
Okay.
That's like saying if a chick is
why we disagree, or you want me to let me move on? I mean, I don't, because I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change mine. So
which is sad.
You want to argue, or what do you want to do?
Huh? I'm trying to
like I said, victims don't take pills. Whores do. Now about the other thing you were talking about, abortion. I couldn't agree less. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think you're spot on with that. So you kind of one of two today. Because you women, you just got to take your L and move on. Show some P control, as Prince may said. This law is this ruling is for women who, when they find out they get pregnant, they've got to think of who the dad might be. That's all this is for. Those are the only people that are offended. Any woman with P control ain't worried about this law. Just like me, I'm not worried about getting shot by the cops because I know when the cops pull me over, I ain't about to do nothing wild to get shot. And that's all these women are. They ain't worried about having to go somewhere to get another abortion because they know they got P control. They're with one person. Whether it's a long-time boyfriend or husband.
Hold on, I'm sorry. What did you think your name is?
Extra loud, aggressive women out here. They want to be reckless.
Oh my goodness.
What's your name
and
again?
This law calls for some control and some what's the word I'm looking for? Discipline.
So what a caller. What's your name again, caller? So he asked.
Say from the projects. SEI.
Say from the projects. Go ahead, E.
Say, while we, I guess, ended up in the same spot, we got there two totally different ways.
We got there. We're there. What are you going to argue about?
Say. I do believe that there are a lot of situations. It might not be the majority of situations, but there are a lot of situations that it's not a matter of she didn't have no pee control or, you know, she's a whore or anything like that. Situations do arise where I could see a woman saying, or a couple even saying, I want to get an abortion. Now, I don't agree with it, but to make the assumption that everybody who want to get an abortion is just some horrible, reckless whore out there, you know, doing God knows what with her body, I think that's a little reckless.
I didn't say everyone, but a good deal of these women that are upset at this are like that. I didn't say every one of them. You know, I would never go out there, and speak in such of a sweeping generality. But no, these are the people that are like this. Men have been asking for abortion for years. You know, I don't want this kid, but I'm being forced to take care of it. You know, now it's time for you women to take your L. That's all this is.
All right.
Okay.
You know, that's all it is. So,
Well,
you know, there's nothing to be upset about. Take the L and move on.
In your case, say from the projects, let me ask you this: where are they losing in this decision? I mean,
Ooh.
You said the women need to take their L. I'm saying where's the loss?
Oh, they're not losing, but since they want to take, act like, since they want to be so loud and aggressive about what just happened over the last weekend or whatever, you're gonna have to take the L in. If that's how you feel about it, then you just got to take that L and move on. Because I'm of that question you just asked. I don't see what the problem is. I don't see it as a loss.
All right.
Okay.
Well, you know, all right, y'all be well. It's been a pleasure, and we'll chat again soon.
That sounds familiar.
All right.
All right, caller.
That was say. I got a caller on this end.
Wyatt.
Go
ahead,
caller.
Hey, Emmanuel, this is Marquetta.
Marquetta, how you doing?
Child. So if we can move away from slut shaming women for a minute and let's talk about law. When you look at the reversal of things like Roe versus Wade, you had Clarence Thomas come right behind that and say, we also need to look at reversing this gay marriage. We also need to look at pulling back contraception. There's even talk of pulling back interracial marriage because the Constitution, they are saying, does not codify these things. So, you know, you've heard from me over the years. One of the main reasons that y'all heard from me is because this attitude of you can have a child and you can make it. Black women are more impacted by unwanted pregnancies due to poverty, due to the health crisis of us going to the hospital, having a baby, and possibly dying. Even Serena Williams, with her wealth, experienced, improper health care while she was giving birth to her child. There's countless stories of women dying during childbirth. Also, you know, I understand the Supreme Court. I feel like the Supreme Court needs to be regulated. We shouldn't have 80-year-old presidents and 90-year-old Supreme Court justices. Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have given her position to someone that she knew would carry out what she was for, but she didn't. She would rather die in the seat. And so now you got a Trump appointee, even if she's a woman, she does not empathize with women per se. You know, what I'm hearing from men is the shaming of women for wanting an abortion. And this is what I don't think any of us really gets. Whether abortion is legal or not, that's not going to stop women from aborting pregnancies or terminating pregnancies. That's why that hanger is so dangerous, because women figure out ways to terminate that pregnancy and it be illegal and it be unsafe. And it's going to create that type of environment. So for whether you know it or not, this is a public health crisis for Black women. It really and truly is. We already don't have access to proper health care. We already poor generationally with these children. We already are suffering. If you look up the stats, women 15 to 35 years old, the highest the highest rate of us dying is through domestic partners murdering us. And a lot of those are women pregnant. So you have a lot of pregnant women being killed because men don't want the responsibility of child support. But I just
That's
ask,
awful.
you know, when you're talking about law, I'm not talking about, you know, what a woman should do with her body. I'm talking about law. When you've gotten accustomed to being able to marry a white woman or marry an Asian man, you've gotten accustomed to marrying a man and you're a man. And now the Supreme Court comes in and says, well, we're going to take that right from you and send it back to the states. What position are you putting people in? And that's not democracy. That's not democracy, because you saw people like Mitch McConnell. I mean, he ain't going nowhere in Kentucky. He's still regulating patriarchal white supremacist laws. And then my final point on that abortion thing, white people are at a zero birth rate. They are America's population overall is in a birth decline. But for every white person that's born, one has died. So they would be positively impacted by forcing their daughters into unwanted pregnancies, because that would make their population increase, which is why you see this huge influx of white immigrants into this country. But I don't hear anybody talking about the law, you know, and how the laws are going to be affected. We seem more to be concerned with shaming women for having sex.
I'm sorry,
And,
Marquetta, we talked about the law. And I just talked about the fact that I believe people, since it is at the state level, you got to advocate to get representatives in there to create a situation where the law is whatever you think is best. So you, it sounds like, I'm being presumptuous a little bit, would be advocating for representatives who are going to legalize and make sure abortion is legal as long and as far into the pregnancy as possible for everyone. And that's that is democracy.
Pushing back, because it had to take the federal government to come in and give us civil rights laws, because the states refused to acknowledge Black people as citizens a lot of times. You couldn't vote. You couldn't access the vote and vote. You had to have the federal government come in with the National Guard to integrate your school. That was the reason we needed federal law and protection, because the states, let the states do it, Texas would secede. And you're right about advocating and pushing, but let's go back to President Obama. President Obama was that lottery ticket to codify things in law. He had the power. He could have made it law and permanent, where the Supreme Court or nobody else could have came in and took away gay marriage, abortion rights, or any of that. But he didn't. He left it up to, you know, the Supreme Court. He left it up to chance. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. So that whole voting thing, even though I agree that we should vote, it's not always the road to victory. And right now, like I just said, I don't think that our community empathizes with Black women enough to understand. Like Sister Mary was just explaining to you, she deal with you know, people all the time who've been through trauma. No, you're not running to get a pregnancy test after your stepfather that sexually assaulted you. No, you're not going to tell that man that's possibly married that you're pregnant. That could mean your life or your death. And a lot of times your sexual consent is thrown out the window when you have somebody older, stronger, etc., able to dominate you and take that choice from you. So the abortion clinic was a safe place for women who did not want to. When you say, and I heard you say the other day, we're not controlling your body. This is what's going to naturally happen to your body. No, that's not natural. Somebody had to come up on you and put a baby in you in order for your baby.
The government, but it wasn't the government who came upon you. It wasn't the government who came upon you. So that's an individual
The
who
government
did
is
something to
in
attempt
the
to control
way
your
of
body.
that abortion clinic. The government
that's
is
not
in
them
the way
controlling
of
your
that
body.
safe and legal. Listen to what I'm saying, Emmanuel.
I'm listening to what you're saying. I just don't agree with
If you
it.
got cancer, right? You got cancer.
All right.
You want to go get treatment. You want to go get leukemia treatment at the hospital.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, they're going to say, you know, this treatment is still experimental.
All right.
It could save your life, but you can't have it.
Right.
So your cancer is going to grow and possibly kill you. And the government is saying that you can't get a procedure that could possibly save your life.
Quick
What
question.
is the government controlling your
Quick
body?
question is, can I go 3 states over and get the procedure?
If you have the money, if you have the transportation,
All right.
if you have the resources, that's a lot of ifs.
Right.
That goes back
I
to
can.
federal protection, Emmanuel. That goes back to the federal protection. That's why we have presidents. That's why we have Senate.
I
That's why
agree.
we have Congress.
But that's still not controlling
to
me.
protect us from states who have here's another thing.
That's still not forcing me to die from cancer, which is what people they're
gonna die,
forcing
though.
us to have.
If
these
you can't make
babies.
it to those other 3 states, you're going to die.
I'm gonna do everything I can to make it there. But even if I don't, it wasn't the government that forced me to die from cancer.
Okay, let's go back to Obamacare. Before Obamacare became law, you had a lot of people who were suffering from HIV and AIDS. You had a lot of rural hospitals that were just breaking down because they did not have government or local finances to keep them up. Okay, the state failed a lot of community hospitals. If not for the federal Obamacare mandate that came down and the money that came with it, those hospitals would have disappeared and people would have lost lives. Who do you blame? It's the state. You would blame the state for their population decrease because they didn't have hospitals to take care of the people who were in need of health care.
Sure.
Okay, so that is the state in control of the health care of the population.
Agreed.
And abortion is a part of health care, whether you see it as that or not. If you could take your religious misogynist,
I'm not going from any religion or misogyny whatsoever in the conversation.
Law,
I'm talking about the law.
What I'm trying to say is the federal government, Black people, has been your protector from states that have been historically racist. Your states, that individual state power that we're talking about, you know, Texas doesn't even want to be a part of America. You know, it's places you can still find in Kentucky where there are no Black people. There's still sunup and sundown states where if you Black, you got to get out of there by a certain time. The point that I'm trying to get to you is federal law was protecting people's rights in gay marriage.
So then, Marquetta, we should work then towards getting some federal laws passed. If you want to work on a constitutional amendment that guarantees women the right to abortion, I say go for it. And I would probably
do that.
That was not but that don't make it a constitutional amendment.
You have a Republican Supreme Court.
That don't make it a constitutional amendment.
But I'm saying the work that you're telling me that I should be advocating and doing, I'm trying to explain to you, has been done. We've done the work. Women have done that work.
Well,
we did it.
Look, no.
And what we have is someone undoing it.
You didn't do it. You didn't do it. You did a whole lot of it, but you didn't do it. You didn't finalize it. You did a whole lot of it, but if you want it finalized to where the Supreme Court can't overrule it, the Supreme Court can't say that a constitutional amendment is unconstitutional.
But that's what they're doing. That's what they're
doing. No, because it's not a constitutional amendment.
You're about to see the rollback of a lot of quote unquote progressive laws. You're going to see Clarence Thomas come after birth control, those Plan B pills. You're going to see the federal government say, we don't have to protect your right for your company or your health care insurance to help you with any contraception. You're going to see the rollback of gay marriage Whether you agree with gay people getting married or not, there are people who are gay and they love each other and they want to get married and they
All right.
want to benefit
I don't have no
from
problem
their
with that.
partner's wills. They want to be able to go to the hospital with their partners. They want to be
Go
able
for
to
it.
get life insurance with their partners. That's all a part of this. It's not just abortion rights. It's what I'm saying is the federal government has protected Black people in this country.
Federal,
If you
hold on.
look
The
at it
federal government
historically,
did
the
not
state-
protect
Man.
my body autonomy. They did not protect my right to do what I want to do with my
That's the
body.
first time I've ever heard that.
The
Well,
government,
where
the
is Martin
federal
Luther King
government didn't do
where
any of that.
where is Martin Luther King at? Can
Well-
somebody tell where in law, in your state law, in Ohio law, in Mississippi, in South Carolina, where was your state laws to say we're going to have the Voters' Right Act?
There's acts now in Congress. They
But
pass
who does
something,
Congress
and you
control?
have to advocate for that type of thing. Pass some sort of act that says it is no law shall be made that abridges your right to have an abortion at any point throughout your pregnancy. Advocate for that.
We did, and Obama should have codified it in law.
But he
We
didn't.
do. We have
So-
Elizabeth Warren right now fighting for just what you're saying.
Right. So
and
keep
that's
y'all,
why
and
a
that the
lot of
fight
us
don't
vote
stop
Democratic.
until it's final. The
And
fight
that's why
don't
a lot
stop
of us
until
vote
it's final.
Democratic. That's why a lot of us vote Democratic and historically have been Democrats, because we saw Fannie Lou Hamer had to go down to the Democratic Party and cry her eyes out and beg to be seen by Democrats and Republicans as a Black woman who was still in slavery in the 70s and the 60s, and explain to them how she was trapped in labor services to people because the state had the power to go to the local police and enforce that. And it took the federal government to come in with federal law. That's all I'm saying. You
Right,
can say
federal
or
law.
think whatever you want to about women aborting. Women are going to terminate pregnancies if they don't want pregnancies. The
All
problem is these pregnancies will be unsafe. They
All
will
right.
be illegal, and you're going to have a health crisis emerge worse than what we're dealing with now. That's what I wanted to get across to you. It's not just she's a whore and she don't want her baby, or she's, somehow neglectful of her sexual, or she promiscuous. It's the decision that I'm going to let somebody grow and develop in my body. And when they grow and develop in my body, I'm going to release them into the world. I'm going to provide nutrition. I'm going to have housing and an economic stable base where they can be educated and they can grow. If I don't want that, that child is in danger, not just of an abortion termination, but child abuse, child abandonment, child neglect.
That's all terrible.
You have a lot of child murders going on out here.
That's
Even
terrible.
that one brother that you was advocating for, he killed the lady, they said, because she had miscarried.
Who
And
did I
so in
advocate
order
for? Who did I advocate
Deshaun Brown.
for? I never advocated for him.
When you said that his rights was somehow being,
I never said that. I never said that.
Man, you and Raven said that.
No,
mess, and
I didn't.
called in and talked to you
It's
about
not true.
it.
It's not
But
true.
the point that I'm getting
You're
across
lying.
to you
You're lying.
is that when I would never.
Don't lie
What
on
do
me
you think
now.
about Deshaun Brown?
Marquetta, you gonna let him call you a liar?
I think that's what he
I'm
did.
waiting
If
for
he
him.
did, if he did what he was accused of doing, I think that's horrible. He's a monster.
Okay, what do you think about his right to due process?
Well, of course he has a right to due process.
And what about Joe Dieters and what he said? Because what you and Raven was saying
hold on,
was he was
can I
tainting
answer the
the
question?
jury.
No, that's not what I
I'm sorry.
said. What I said was people said, Joe Dieters said, therefore it's true. And all I said was everything Joe Dieters say ain't true. Just because Joe Dieters says a thing doesn't make it true by virtue of the fact that it came out of his lily white lips. And y'all got mad because I said everything out of that white man's mouth ain't true. It ain't gospel. That's what made y'all mad.
That's not what you said.
That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said.
I spoke to you directly, and what you were saying was,
and I still
Deshaun
mean that.
Brown needed a jury that was not tainted. That his
I did not
rights
say that.
were
I
being-
never said that.
I remember the conversation because I had to call
You
in and
remembering
check you on it.
wrong
But
because
we're
I never said that.
I'm not going to call you names. You're not going to call me names. We're going to agree to disagree. I'm going to leave it at that.
No,
I
you're
said
wrong.
what I had to say. You can think I'm wrong. I can think you wrong.
Well, no,
that's
I
the
didn't say
beauty.
that.
That's the beauty of y'all
Hey,
platform. and it's
Marquetta,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, sister. I got a delay on my end. I just had a quick question for you, if you don't mind, sister. Who was downing women? Did you get that off of a caller, or you felt like Emmanuel or myself was downing women due to abortion? I'm just curious. That's been riding on the back of my mind.
It's a conversation coming from men in general who always to sexual responsibility. I wouldn't put it on either of you. It's the overall culture and the conversation that I'm hearing in American men, period. Black men in particular seem to be more concerned about the woman's sexual morality instead of the law that protects her to her body's autonomy, saying, look, if I decide I'm pregnant and I don't want a pregnancy, don't think that women don't sit around with other women, concoct herbs, take a hanger. I mean, if you see us doing BBLs and getting booty surgeries with glue, you couldn't think that we're not creative enough to come up with pregnancy termination. You know,
that's terrible. Trust me.
Abortion needed to be legal.
I'm with you on that. But I think one of the things that I was arguing was the perspective of how this ruling came down from Supreme Court. But I was more interested also in people's perspective of how do they feel? And I guess you can't speak for everybody. But what I'm seeing is pro-lifers and pro-choicers, and I see Black women on both sides. And when we say it's detrimental to the Black community, I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, how do you think those Black women on pro-life must feel? Do you think they think it's detrimental to their community?
I don't care, because that's a belief. Again, Black women account for like 74% of abortions in America. It was a time in New York City where Black women were aborting more children than they were giving birth to. So, who is it? Candace Owens' opinion, it does not matter, because that's her opinion. She's not going to. And here's the thing about pro-lifers: you don't see these same Republicans as concerned about guns and regulating guns. You don't see them as concerned about the children in foster care and adoption centers. You don't see these same pro-lifers saying, well, I've seen so many children aborted, I'm going to go open up an adoption center. I'm going to go be a foster parent. I'm going to take all of these unwanted children who can't. They're not going to do that. It's not even a consideration.
Because it's not reasonable.
Well, so why isn't it? Why is it reasonable?
Okay, let me say that I don't want to see people killed in the street with firearms. But I'm not going to go in the street and adopt everybody in the street that's in danger of being killed with a firearm, invite them in my house and take care of them. Just because I don't want to see what I perceive to be a negative thing happen doesn't mean I have to, on the back end, take care of everything that would come as a result of that negative thing not happening. That's not reasonable.
Okay, so again, I'm just speaking to the fact that when we talk about Black women and abortion, we're not speaking in a vacuum. There are stats, there are facts that back up the fact that when Black women don't have access to abortion, they are in greater risk of domestic violence murders. They're at greater risk of possibly dying while giving birth. They're at greater risk for long-term financial distress. They're at greater risk of evictions, bankruptcies, and not being able to find work or get education. That's why Black women are such a political hot point in this abortion debate. But like you said, it ain't really about us. It go back to white people and the fact that they're dying and that they have a zero birth rate. And that's who they're really after. They're trying to force their little white girls out of feminism and out of the workplace and back into being pregnant. But I thank you.
I appreciate your call.
Hey, long time no talk. I stomached you for a moment because I like Wyatt. Y'all have a good one.
All right.
That's my girl, believe it or not, man. That's my girl. That's why I was a little tripped out when she came in and said, y'all are putting down Black women. And I'm like, I know I didn't do that. At least I don't think I did. Sometimes you say things, or I may say something, E-Man, and it might have triggered something. Like Miss Mary got on that one on me. And I'm like, what did I say? I was speaking in law. You know, I was talking about the law.
No. I don't think you did. I like to think I didn't. Now I know we might have
said from the projects might have stirred that pot.
Yeah, he might have said some things, and your boy dropped whatever.
Yeah, they
Rape,
probably stirred the pot of that. I got a quick one. If you want to take this call, what you thinking?
All right.
Line 1. All right. Let me take this call. Good evening, caller. This is Wyatt. Who am I speaking with?
What's up, Wyatt?
Hey, what's going on, Steve? What's good with you, brother?
Man, it's the first time I ever caught you and Emmanuel together. I didn't know what you were saying, the king. I guess because I just be scrolling through so fast, looking for particulars or whatever, and then. But this is interesting. But that Marquetta, why?
Yeah.
I'm in love, man.
You in love?
I'm in love. She made me want to go to Jared's.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. There's nothing to me more sexier than an educated, smart, articulate Black woman and can back up what she says with facts. And they're giving her opinion on the matter. You know, and again, you know, I'm so glad, and I got to give Emmanuel some props because he didn't get mad like most brothers would have started taking things personal. And Emmanuel didn't. And I'm very impressed with that about you because I know a lot of guys she would have intimidated because she was speaking facts, man, and she was articulate and just like she was speaking from an instructive tongue. And let me tell you something, man. That was an impressive call, man, and that's why I love our Black women. You know, but I'm gonna tell you, she made a very, very, very good point. And all of this is really not about controlling the women's bodies and all that. And this is my personal opinion, guys. And Emmanuel, tell me what you think. This is about white folks scared that their white women are not going to produce enough, have enough births to populate, to keep up, you know, with the American population. That's what that kid was talking about when he shot for people talking about the Black folks are trying to take over. Then you got white women having these Black kids by these rappers, and these guys are millionaires, and ain't nothing they can do about it. And, I mean, they're panicking is what it is. They're panicking. And then you got Justice Thomas, who is married to a white woman, who's married to a white woman. And now he's even talking about biracial. I mean, it's so deep, man. It's just so deep. You can get a million people and get a million different opinions. But I'm telling you, man, this is something to watch. What do you think about that, Emmanuel?
I think there's some truth to that. Although I do believe, and you know, when people say, hey, put aside your morality and put aside your religion and put aside that, I can't put aside my morality. That's a part of who I am. That's a part of who I am. And I think there are a lot of people out there. I'm answering your question. I think there are a lot of people out there who aren't thinking about the white population and all that kind of stuff. Now, they might be tricked because there are people with agendas who then create what we used to call them wedge issues. They create these wedge issues.
Right.
And so you create a wedge issue. And I hadn't thought about that before, but now that you bring it up, man, that really bothers me. So that could be it. But there are genuinely people who believe that life begins at a certain point. And just like, and people say that it's unfair that I use this analogy, but it's a perfect analogy. If I believe that that is a living creature inside of you, and you say, yeah, but I don't want to deal with this living creature because I'm not ready, so let me kill it. That would be, you say, I don't want, that's not right. That's not good. That's not moral, you know? And whether or not you agree with that or not, just the acknowledgement that there are people who that's where they're coming from. I don't want you to look at your 1-year-old and say, you know what? It's too much stress in my life to be dealing with that baby. Let me kill it. Everybody would be like, right, under the jail. That's horrible. But there are people who genuinely look at that, what they perceive as a life inside of you, with the same level of sanctity that they look at that 1-year-old. So sure, some of it is, you know, all of this other political stuff. Some of it is people's beliefs and morality. And to tell people, this is the part that bothers me. And that's why, you know, I'm one of those people. But at the same time, I genuinely believe, and this is my religious part, if God wanted to stop abortion, he could stop it. He could stop it. But God says, look, I put before you life and death. You choose. You choose. So that's where my position is. I think it's killing the baby, but I wouldn't tell somebody that they can't do it. And I'm not doing it because I want to protect the white population, even though I guess I'm not on that side because I don't think it should be illegal. I think you should have to make that choice and deal with whatever the consequences are with you and your creator. I that's your choice, but I just don't think everybody is coming from the position of, you know, protecting white life and all of that kind of stuff. Even though, like I said, that might, maybe I have, if that conversation hadn't been going on since I was born, that might not even be a thought in my head. So I could be manipulated into caring that much about something that otherwise I would have never even thought about.
Got it, buddy. Got it. Appreciate it, man. What about you, Wyatt? Real quick.
I don't really have a long drawn out answer to that. I don't know.
Hold on. Are you saying I was long and drawn out?
No, I'm saying I don't have half of that. I'm saying that I don't put this, I don't know if this is necessarily a conspiracy to cut back the chocolate race, black folks. I don't see it quite that way. That's just,
well, you got the police gunning us down. I mean,
we gunning us down too, bro. I mean, it's a whole lot of stuff that's going on out here that we can say, you know, there's a whole lot of factors that's going on with how we are being reduced. And I don't know if abortion is necessarily it. But I also see us as being some great folks. And I know that we are definitely, I think what we may need to do is look at this thing for what it truly is. And regardless of how people might take what I'm about to say, I guess I'm the only person that'll say it. There's going to be a level of accountability that's going to have to take on. I think it's really bad that we're 70. What was it? 74% of the abortions.
74%.
That's
ridiculous. I don't know if that's true. Again, I've learned that just because somebody
but
throws
she said
out,
that was a while ago, some years ago, 74% in the state of New York.
And again, I don't know that to be true. I'm not saying it's not true, but I learned that just because somebody number doesn't necessarily make it so.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Does anybody know the rate of abortions by white women? I think that's the question to ask.
Would that debunk? Would that debunk
abortions at record-breaking numbers?
But would one way explain? Could it kill a conspiracy theory of us trying to, be reduced? Because if white women are having,
well, not necessarily of us being reduced, but I'm sorry, I mean, never interrupt you, but not us being reduced, but why they want to stop and make abortions illegal. We need more white children being born. You see where I'm going with this?
That's where I was going, and that is if there's a high rate of abortions in the white community, it would debunk them trying to add abortion. Them being scared that we're going to take over. Because does anyone know the abortion rate? Is that the 26%, or what of that 26% that's left is white? And the other percentage is other. Y'all get what I'm saying? Because they're saying 74% of the abortions,
but not current day. I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think she meant current day. I think she meant a while back.
No, that's a current number. That's a current number. I heard it on the news earlier. I just wasn't sure if it was 70, 74. Yeah, and that was in an area. You got to understand. I mean, I look at it like, why is it so high? Because from what I'm understanding, I don't have the statistic, but from those trauma things, like what Miss Mary was saying, not to belittle or take away any of, not to try to water it down, but that's a small majority of number. I'm sorry, that's a small percentage of number of the abortions is when it comes to the trauma-driven.
That's 1/3, of the blacks,
Well, I'm talking about when it comes to incest and rape and things of that nature. Saying they're saying that it's a small percentage of the number, the overall number of abortions. So that leads me to believe, and I seen somebody put something up on the page, and they said that me and my husband, this was a woman, me and my husband just weren't ready to have kids yet. They had kids, but they didn't want another kid, so they chose abortion. And you're going to have those type of situations in there as well. I think what we get confused with, or what overwhelms us, is every abortion is tied into some type of trauma or some type of irresponsible behavior. And there are going to be some situations that are like that, but there's also going to be some situations like a husband and a wife, they don't want the third child, and maybe birth control didn't work. You know what I mean? Didn't work. Now there's some people, of course, that are pro-life that would say that was God sent, but there's also people that have a certain, I won't want to say lifestyle, but they have a certain thing that maybe life is tough for them right now the way it is, and they just can't bring on another mouth to feed, or they just don't think that they're bringing. See, I got personal shit tied up into this from what happened to me as an individual. I've never raped or nothing like that, but you know, I was, you know this, Steve, I was born to a 14-year-old mother, and some things happened where you know, I know how tough it is to have a young mother like that. And I thank my mother that she didn't abort me. She could have, you know, but this is a touchy subject for me, guys, because you have to understand it's not all people that are making irresponsible moves out here. But when you say abortion, everybody seems to tie that up with like bad behavior, 14, 15-year-old kids using abortion as birth control. And that's not always the case. So I don't think I answered your question, Steve, but that's my feelings.
You did.
That's my feelings.
A valid point also. I mean, yeah, you made a valid point also. I appreciate you, brothers, man.
All right. Appreciate you calling in, Steve. Thanks for giving us a shot.
Okay.
All right, brother. E-Man, go ahead, man. I just wanted to get that off my chest.
No, that's fine. Your long drawn out answer had some good points to it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get long.
No, that's cool. I think it was some valuable stuff in there. I understand. Here's the only other thing that I would say about it, because we are two black men having this conversation about abortion, and there are women right now who are listening or who tuned in and said, "I'm not listening to these black men talk about abortion because they ain't got no uterus and all of that good stuff." But
like we can't have a valued opinion about. I mean, that's crazy. I mean,
exactly, and
okay.
It vexes me when people do and say things like that. So a part of this thing here is not just for y'all to listen to us, but to interact. That gives a Marquetta an opportunity to call in and say, "Hey, let me give you this from my perspective." That gives a Mary an opportunity to say, "Well, let me share my perspective," because we are men. And yes, I learn a lot of stuff from women through talking to women and listening to women and challenging women because I need to understand it. So, and then I saw on a few actually of the social media things that I frequent. Well, I don't frequent any, but that I visited. Well, where are the men? Why are they silent? Men, y'all don't care about us because y'all silent. So you can't on one hand tell men, "Hey, shut up," because you don't have a uterus, and so you don't even have a right to have an opinion in the matter. And then on the other hand, say, "But if you don't say nothing, it's because you don't care about us and you're being silent on the matter." This society and us as a community, we have to have these conversations. And the young man, what was it, Steve, the guy who just got off?
Yeah, Steve,
he said, I didn't get mad at Marquetta. I don't have a problem with Marquetta sharing her thoughts, her experiences, her opinions, and her knowledge with me. I don't have a problem with Wyatt challenging me on stuff. I don't have a problem with it. That's why we do this, is to engage, to talk, to listen, to learn, to challenge, to evolve. That's the reason why we do it. So don't tell us to be silent. I mean, don't tell us to be silent and then ask us, why are we silent?
Right.
That's not fair.
A good point. That's a good point. I don't think my argument was ever, when it came to this Supreme Court decision, it was never about the rights of a woman and what they can do with their body. Just like my argument with Bill Cosby, my argument all came from a legal perspective. And it's the same with the Roe versus Wade. It's the same way. I just think, quite frankly, And Marquetta said something that I can remember, and it sits on me. She said that the federal government is a protection of Black folks. I don't know if I completely agree with that, because of some of the federal, I mean, the same things that we complain and bitch about now that's keeping us in a certain condition, if you listen, are federal government policies.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So when you have things that are run by a government that keep you in a certain condition, and then you can't have it both ways. Either the government is for you or they're against you. I don't know if I could say this is the same government that dropped drugs in our neighborhoods, right? This is the same government that ran investigations on our peace leaders in the 60s and the 70s, right? This is the same government that had the FBI doing things that were, and now, you know, getting us out of here. I mean, you know, sending us to long sentences, federal sentences. And I don't know if I trust the government enough to say that they've ever been a protector of rights. But I have to say that when the government steps in, Supreme Court justice steps in and admits that they have no position on a ruling, I know how cynical that could be for some people, but you got to look at law. There's no constitutional right to have an abortion. And you shouldn't be able to, if you want government out of your business, then you have to look at the fact that they stepped away from a position that they had no business in the first place. When you allow the government to control what you're doing when they're not supposed to be there, you're also opening up the door for that to happen to you down the line on other things. I mean, they said the thing about the gay marriage and all that type of stuff. I get it. But I think personally, this has nothing to do with abortion, what I'm saying. I think personally, if we want more control and more democracy in our areas, I think at a state level, that's where it begins. I would rather have control of where I live right here in a state versus on a federal level. That's just my opinion.
I agree. And then if you need those federal protections, you advocate for federal protections, not just a Supreme Court decision, but you codify it.
Yeah, I mean, and what was the thing? They said Obama had an opportunity to do that, and he dropped the ball or whatever that was discussed. I don't know if she said drop the ball, but she said Obama didn't shut the door on making the abortion an amendment to the Constitution. And if he would have done that, or any other president would have done that, then we wouldn't be in this situation or be talking about it right now.
Right. Agree. All right. But did anything else that you wanted to get off your chest?
Oh man. Man, I got a lot on my chest. One quick thing. School choice. Did you hear out in Arizona that they're allowing the parents $7,000 per child for school choice? I don't know what your take is, but I've been advocating for school choice for a long time. I think it's important that we allow our kids to go to the schools that we choose, and those private schools that cost money. Now the state of Arizona is allocating $7,000 per child in a household to be able to send them to a school of choice. Of their choice.
Theoretically, I'm for school choice. In theory, I am for school choice. But I understand that can create problems. That the issue, if you pull in this money from the public school system, and I might be able to, with the assistance of the government, be able to move my kid into a more desirable school. But what about those less fortunate people who can't? What about, because it's more than just here's some money. How you gonna get there? And what other resources do I need to make sure that you're there and that you're successful? And if I don't have those resources, then my kid got to stay in the public school, who just lost a whole lot of resources. So where they're already not doing great, now they're going to be even worse. And so it does worry me when we're talking about everybody, and of course it won't be everybody, but when we're talking about people having the opportunity to pull their kids and those state resources from the public school district, which a lot of underprivileged people rely heavily upon. That concerns me. And so I don't know how if in Arizona a lot of people decide en masse to pull those kids out of the schools, how then do they make up that gap in the public school system?
So let me ask you, do you think that reducing public school students is a bad thing for kids? Don't you think that that might allow a little bit more, kids getting a little bit more private attention? And you might go down from 30 in a class to maybe 20 in a class.
Initially, that might seem like it, but eventually those resources dry up. And you can't pay the same, you won't have the same number of educators and administrators and ability to purchase the necessary goods to facilitate a good education for those kids. So, okay, it's no longer 15 to 1, 30 to 1, for a year or two. But then once they begin to feel the pinch of those monies going away, they're not going to keep all of those additional teachers to keep it 15 to 1. Eventually, half of y'all teachers got to go because we lost all of this money. So now it's back to 30 to 1 with less resources for the entire district. So that's what I say. In theory, it sounds good.
Well, when those teachers, keep in mind, if you have a student that's going to another school, the populations grow in other schools, therefore they're going to need teachers.
Right. So the teachers will probably be fine, but I'm worried about the students and the resources that the students are going to get in the public school system if we're pulling all of these resources out of public schools and sending them to private schools that are now funded by the state.
Well, I get it. I use the 7,000 because that happens to be Arizona.
Right.
Let's just say, for instance, and I don't know what the average private school is in Arizona. I haven't done the research on that, but let's just say we do Ohio, which, if I'm not mistaken, it's somewhere in the realms of about $11,000 a year or 12 or something like that per student. So if Ohio was to give each parent $12,000, and then you could go to St. X or go to one of these schools that has tuition. I believe St. X is a tuition driven school. I'm not sure, but I think it is. But probably some of these other schools are not all of these schools are private. Because you pay a tuition don't mean it's private. I know Catholic schools have a form of tuition that's not considered a private school. But if you have the average of $13,000 and that's a private school in your area, and that's the school money that you're getting from the state, then that allows your child to get the same education that the kids that are getting the privileged education is getting. And I had a conversation with Dr. Umar Johnson. He totally disagreed with the process of that because of some of the things you brought up. Travel's not the same. How do I get to school? How do I eat lunch? All that stuff factors in. But he never said anything about the reduction of public school, because public school is shrinking now as we see it. There's a lot of charter schools and other sources.
But when we hear those numbers, the average is, let's say $13,000 a year per student. That don't mean that every student is getting $13,000 worth of services. That's taking the entire funding for the school and averaging it out based on the population. So then once you begin to pour some of that money, you're not just pulling the services that child gets individually, you're pulling resources from the district. Yeah, part of that was paying, the heat bill. A part of that was paying, a lot of different things that go into the education system. So now you're pulling a part of that away. Well, you still got all of that other ancillary stuff that's very important that now you may not have the funds for, because again, the idea that, well, you get $13,000, so now that goes to the school. My kid don't actually get $13,000 worth of services.
Right. Well, I think that the subsidies that public schools receive through the federal government it's more than just tuition per child. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they get more than just what we want to call a tuition fee. There's subsidies that are given to public schools, such as I don't know, lunch programs. There's a lot of things that come outside of what they charge, like what they allocate per student. So
Yes.
I don't know if programs like lunch or other things will be reduced when in fact there's programs set up, there's money set aside from the federal government that allows that to stay in place regardless of what, you know, what the attendance is or how many they have enrolled. So, I mean, I'm sure all that could possibly change though, too. If your enrollment go down 20%, you know, they're going to start saying like, why do we need, you know, this? Why do we need that? I get it. I get it. I thought it was just interesting because what they said in Arizona, they allocated 7,000. Like I said, I don't know what percentage on a scale that 7,000 is. You know, I don't know how that averages out to all the private schools there. But what it allowed them to do, the way it was explained, is this allows people to use that 7,000 to either go to private school, stay in the public school, or do homeschooling, or charter school, those different choices they have. I'm a firm believer that the more choices that you have, the better off we are as a people, because that allows us to make certain choices that fit our lifestyle, fit our agendas as an individual. It'll allow more Black private schools to function, because one of the things that we have a lack of is capital in our communities. This is an instant capital driven situation when you can say, okay, we're going to start an academy. All right. I happen to be a product of CCA in Cincinnati Community Academy. It was an all Black school in Madisonville when I was a little boy. And the Kellys of Cincinnati started this school. And one of the things that I could see that was obvious even back then was funding. And they didn't have that same funding that if you were getting 7,000 per child, that school possibly could still be open today. And we're talking 20, 30 years ago. I think this opens the door for alternative situations for our community. That's just my opinion. I think,
and that's why I say in theory, it sounds great, but I don't know. Of course, I've not done any research on it, so I don't know how it works out in practice. But which this you'll probably disagree with and think I'm crazy. Anything that Republicans are heavily in favor of, I always got to question and research. No matter how good they make it sound, I got to look at it and see what would the ramifications be for somebody like me, you know, a poor Black man with a child in my neighborhood. What would those ramifications long-term be for people like me? And usually, if it's something that Republicans is like, yes, 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 I'm like, yeah, that probably ain't gonna be good for my people.
Well, I mean, I also look at it like this. I hear a whole lot of complaining, but very little action about our current situation with our public schools across the country. And I just think the more choices that we have, if we can take the cynical glasses off for a minute, the more choices that we have, the more control that we can take along with those choices as well. It's called leverage. When you leverage your dollars, you can control how your dollars are being used. And we may not own everything from these schools or the tuitions. And I seen Ben about this check said something about the private schools tuitions will go up. Well, I'm not necessarily saying our allocated amount of money could go towards a private school. I'm saying it opens the door for alternative schools to be created. You understand what I'm saying? It may be a school that's not even open yet. It just might open up the opportunities for us to get a different type of learning, more catered to being successful once you complete the 12th grade. There, you know, right now we're at the mercy of how public school systems put us in this world, and we have no control of that. And I think we need to get in more of a controlled situation. That's just where I was with it, you know. And I think in order to be controlling, in order to have some sense of control, it's going to be an economic movement.
Well, I think it can. I also think one way to look at the public school system and to have much more of an effect, of course, is to get out there and vote, because at least I know here, you know, we elect the school board. Right. We elect, and you can vote for who you want to go there. And then, of course, you can be really involved. So there are ways to have control over the public school system. It's just we don't have enough people focused on it and doing what need to be done.
No, I understand. I understand. What else? You got something, man?
No, man, I got nothing, man. We
Give me,
we had that discussion. We done hit everything that I could think of right now.
if you don't mind, so I got you right here. Give me that call-in number once again. Hold on 1 second. Let me jot it. Give me that call-in number for yourself.
513-717 King, as in the king of talk.
What numbers is King?
5464.
King. All right, I got you. What I'm going to do now, I have you up, bro. My apologies. There it is. Both phone numbers are on the screen.
Don't
I
say
have a
King.
lot of
Yeah,
Huh?
don't say King there though.
what?
It don't say King. It just
It says the
don't.
King and I.
But yeah, don't say 513-717 King. And then in parentheses,
See how y'all Hollywood Negroes be? All right, my bad. Look at this. Perfect example. Now y'all know. Look, I gotta let you have it now, bro. Listen, y'all know we do somewhat of a show prep. Like, he's the hardest dude in the world to get a hold of. Right? We're supposed to be working and trying to get a good product out.
oh, that's nice.
And he was like, "Listen, man, just call me. You know why? I might be busy on Saturday, so why don't you call me? And if I'm free, then
Wait, did I
I'll."
have a cold? I don't know what that was.
Yeah, no code. But I did have to ask him, like, wait a minute, bro. Wait, on Saturday, you want me to call you? He was like, yeah, just like perfect example. There's your 513-717 King. Okay, King.
Okay, we gonna work on it because it should be the parentheses right behind King should be the
Oh,
actual number. See,
so
don't worry about it. We'll work on it.
y'all just don't know. Yeah, I'm telling you. Listen, Saturday I was supposed to call dude. He was like, just call me Saturday, man. I'll be, I got a couple things going on, but shit, I can fit you in my schedule. And I was like, he was like, yeah, just come. I was like, oh, bro, listen, you ain't building no cars or nothing on Saturday, right? You ain't doing. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask you? I got one for you.
Right.
I got one for you. What about bro that went in the courtroom and knocked this, Nilo, the kid, the little child? You got a couple seconds for that? Y'all want us to maybe elaborate on that a little bit? Because we talked about it.
Yeah, I got a couple seconds for that. I don't think, I'm not even gonna get on the officers. I don't think that he should have gotten 7 days, or at least I don't think he should serve 7 days. I think given that particular situation, knowing and understanding the emotional toll that he's going through, I think that's one where you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you take him in custody. You got to do that. But I think 7 days is excessive for that situation. And I'll be honest, I think the people whose fault that is the court. It's the court. You got to know in situations like that. Look, I watch enough TV. I watch enough Court Gone Crazy or whatever they want to make, where you see this repeatedly. Repeatedly, you see some victim's family member emotional and attack a defendant. I've seen it enough times where I'm like, man, I hope they got enough security there. Then sure enough, you turn on and they didn't have enough security there. Or at least strategically placed. They didn't have enough security to prevent what most people could have told them they should have been on the lookout for. So I don't think he should have served any time, not a day, take him up there, or well, I say up there because one of the judges said up there. Take him up there, calm him down, and let him go. That's what I say. But
Okay.
I understand wholeheartedly the emotional toll that brother's dealing with. But when I say I understand, maybe let me take that back. I don't understand, and I don't want to understand. I hope to never understand what the emotional toll that brother is going through, but I can sympathize with the emotional toll that brother is going through. And because of that, this is one of those things where you say, okay, law is over here, but humanity and compassion lives here. And brother, go upstairs, calm down. We're gonna finish this proceeding, and then you go home. And maybe you don't come back.
I agree to a certain extent. Okay, I agree with all the passionate part of it. I'm a firm believer. I spoke a lot on my end, on my show, about the Nilo situation and the tragic and the video footage that they showed of the young man actually carrying the body out of the young lady that he murdered. All of that stuff. If I seen it, the family members seen it. Okay. Tragedy. And just to think that this young man still won't say what's up with that young boy, with Nilo. If he has something to do with it or not, he's just not saying anything about it. But he's being charged with the murder. Where I agree with you is the passion. I probably would have done the same thing. I probably would have took whatever punishment that came to me. It would have been well worth it because I'm never going to the penitentiary to be able to get him when he gets there. So that was my one and only shot. I'm on his ass. I'm going to do the same thing. However, I got to be reasonable as an officer of the court. A lot of people ain't going to like what I'm going to say, but hear me out before you cut me off. I think that 7 days was definitely fair. And the reason why I say that is because as a judge, you have to set the precedent in Hamilton County that you can't come in our courtroom and do what he did. Now I'm not being human. Okay. I'm not trying to erase emotion there, but let me tell you as a judge, if I was the judge, what I would have done just to set the precedent. Now, some may not have seen it or would have understood it, but I would have done it. I would have gave him the 7 days, but I probably would have suspended 6 of those days. Let him do 24 hours in jail, because even in a mental state where he didn't need to be on the street. Okay, because keep in mind, like, that had to be a situation that had to be a situation. Did you see the video? He wasn't in his mind. He was not supposed to be around that courtroom. I'm not trying to deny him his right to see what's going on, but after the fact, he was uncontrollable. I mean, I know those officers, the female black. I know those officers, and that lady can really get in your mind. That officer she's like your aunt down there. She gonna baby. She can really touch you with her emotions. She's part of your family. She couldn't touch him. She couldn't get in his mind. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm sorry.
But she was yelling at him.
Well, no. During the assault. Now I wouldn't file any charges on him because it was an assault. That's where it gets different with me. I wouldn't file any criminal charges against his assault. I wouldn't do that. I would have gave him 7 days, but I would have suspended 6 of those days because I need this young man to calm down. It ain't no telling if there was family members of that young man who did this crime in the courtroom. You just don't know the settings. I don't want anything bad to happen to the young man who punched this kid. Okay, I don't want anything bad. You just got to let him clear his head. I don't even know if he would have been in there 24 hours. I just would have sentenced him, and then I would have suspended, because you don't want that precedent in Hamilton County that you can come down there and do that. There's a lot of murder that's going on in the city, and there's a lot of murder cases. I've spoken to families whose sons have been murdered by people that they're sitting right across from. And if that happens every day, what do we do? What do we do if outbreaks like that happen? You got to set the precedent that there's going to be some form of action if you do something like that. But keep in mind, bro, I would have took whatever consequence that came to me, because if I would have had a shot, I'd have done the same thing. I would have done the same thing.
I understand what you're saying. The only reason I don't agree that this whole you got to set the precedent and all of that kind of stuff. We see a whole lot of stuff happen in courtrooms all the time, even here in Hamilton County. I've been in courtrooms and seen law enforcement out of order and nothing happened. So I don't think it should be a separate standard. Now, the law enforcement didn't physically attack somebody, but I believe, when you talk about just setting standards, if you're going to do that for everybody who get out of order in your courtroom just to set the precedent, then cool. But in this particular case, I say let compassion prevail, even with trying to set the precedent. Let compassion prevail and move him away. Don't even leave him in there for 24 hours. The proceeding is over. Everybody gone. Come on back. Now, young man, we want to offer you some services, some counseling to help you deal with this. Because that, in my mind, that's the court can now step in and they have access to resources that they can offer this brother to help him. Whereas, maybe they weren't in the position to do that before, but now he's interacted with the system. We can get you these resources to some grief counseling or whatever, to help you deal with it. Here's a number of somebody.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of that 24 hours, bro, because you got to understand, I'm not saying that he should be shackled up and treated as a criminal. I'm saying that is an opportunity to provide resources for a young man who may be going through some things that he's obviously never seen it before. But you got to understand, man, for him to go to that extraordinary extreme, he's probably, you talk about trauma. I mean, he needs to talk to somebody, bro. He needs to talk to somebody. And that was an opportunity for them to open up the door of him getting help. I don't think that he'll sit in that jail for 7 days. I would be shocked if he was still sitting in there now. Okay, I would really be shocked. I got Mary Myers says Ohio. Somebody just said that Cleopatra just said AFTAB just announced Ohio bans abortion after 6 weeks.
Yeah, that was that heartbeat bill that we was talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just be honest, man. I just think that the young man is going to be dealing with this for a long time, and I can't say that I wouldn't have done what he did. I'm not going to sit here, and say that I wouldn't have done it if I had a shot, because I don't think I'm going to the penitentiary where this young man is going to go and I'm going to get that shot ever again. So yeah, I probably would have took a shot, but at the same time, I got one for you. You said something about setting the precedent. If you look at the young ladies that all got arrested down at the Tracy Hunter trial, they didn't get sentenced to those days, and they disrupted the court. They went in and tried to help take the police off of Tracy Hunter when they were, removing her from the courtroom. That was contempt of court. None of those people got massive days in jail. So I don't want to say that it's always us that they seem to want to find in the contempt of court. And it's unbalanced in that. I don't want to say that. But when you have a massive, I mean, this was on a national news. They showed it on national news channels of this young man running up and punching. A judge has to take action. They have to set some type of precedent. Well, yeah, they do, because you want to set the court. You don't want people coming down to the court. Nobody wants, I'm not saying, bro, that he deserves 7 days. I'm not saying.
Well, I know what you're saying. All I'm saying is they don't. They don't have to set the precedent. They don't have to do any of that kind of stuff.
No.
Like you said, they didn't have to set the precedent with those people in the Judge Hunter trial. They don't
Well,
have to do any of
they
that.
didn't get days. They didn't get days, but they were definitely in contempt of court, and they sat there for some hours. And
And
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this young man won't do half of that. He won't do half of that. I just, that's just my opinion. I don't think that if he may be out already. I'll check that. I'll research that. I don't have his name. If somebody give me his name, I'll definitely check it. I'll check it in the system. But I just think that, there's an accountability standpoint from the voters and people that put you in office that, he's still in there, been about that check seat. Well, I think it would be wrong for him to do 7 days, quite frankly.
And them judges don't care nothing about no accountability. They only care about accountability when it's somebody else. They don't care about them and the people that they know and they care about. They care about accountability. And I'm not even saying race. I'm saying when it's somebody else, they care about accountability. But when it's them, they don't care about no accountability. That accountability stuff is just something to say, but they don't really care. They don't really care.
Yeah.
Well,
this might be one of them times where we need to get down there and make some noise about it. You know what I'm saying? Because, you got to just consider the reasoning of why he did what he did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, there has to be a sense of human, we're all human, and that young man could have possibly, and I'm sure he did that out of rage. It probably was not premeditated. We don't know. He may have been sitting in there for 2 or 3 days already during the trial. And maybe day number 3, he finally had enough. Or maybe certain portions of the testimony finally came out and that pushed him over the edge. So, I just feel like the judge can say anything. The judge could have gave him 30 days. But if he stayed in jail over 24 hours, I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with whatever. If he stayed in over 24 hours, I'd have to disagree with the judge on that ruling. And it's a contempt of court.
Yeah. But by the time that the courthouse closed, he should have been getting out.
Yeah. I just needed him because, bro, I seen his face on the video and I seen how many officers it took to handle him. And I don't want to see the brother get hurt. Okay. I don't want to see him leave that courthouse or see that boy's mother or something like that and put it on her. You see what I'm saying? Or do something that was going to make his situation worse than what he's already going through. A retaliation type of thing.
I understand. And I guess the only part that, we kind of depart on is that the court had to set some sort of precedent. I don't believe that they do. I mean, I believe clearly she chose to, but I don't think it was necessary. I think compassion ruled the day.
I get it. I got a fan. Looks like Brian Taylor says this. Is one of your guys, I believe, on your page. He says courts are always quick to find for rich and lighter people, and you are both season pass. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the support, brother.
No. See, you misread it. You misread it. He didn't say you are both. He says, and if you're both, then you get a season pass.
Well, I mean, still, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know if being, you're talking about light skin, or are you talking about like white people?
I would imagine more along the lines of white people.
Okay, well then, I can maybe bark up that tree a little bit. My bad, Brian. That's why I read the comment, because I just, I'm assuming you mean, I thought you meant light skinned people. My bad. Mary Meyer says white people. Okay. Yeah, I would say that if I've seen things down at the courthouse where white people have been removed. Now, I'm very sensitive about how I say things on the grounds that I have to step on every day. But I have seen different treatment, different situations. I've seen arguments and I've seen fights and I've seen guards pulling people in different directions saying, settle down. And that's as far as it got. No handcuffs, nobody taken in the back, nobody booked in and processed. I have seen that before in my 19 years of being in the courts.
All right. Is that it?
Yeah, I think Mary Myers said I'm paranoid. I'm far from paranoid. I don't have my glasses on, Mary. I obviously read it wrong. Emmanuel had to correct me. I don't have my glasses on, so I didn't catch that tail end of that comment. But I thought it was, because I've seen comments that was, in the area of, what I was just saying. Sometimes
you know what we got to work on, Wyatt? We got to work on the comments being kinder and or more tolerant.
I don't know. I don't know how you do that. I don't know if we can ever do that.
Your people just be attacking me, and my natural instinct is when I'm attacked to attack back, and I be fighting it, but I be looking at the comments and I be thinking, "Oh, I want to get you. Oh, I want to get you," because that's my natural instinct.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna work on being more tolerant, then I think the comments should work on being more tolerant. Otherwise,
well, you say my people attack you. Your people attack me. I read the comments. I could put my glasses on. I probably missed a lot of those comments.
I think my people just question you.
That's cool. I'm all right with being questioned because I generally have something to back whatever I say. I try not to be so judgmental and opinionated. I try to bring fact to whatever I'm talking about. So generally when I feel that I have fact on my side, I'm not disturbed when people say different of what I'm saying, like the Bill Cosby situation. That's one of them. It's just, the abortion thing, we heard some words about women's rights and things of that nature. And I'm just using factual, court information of why the ruling even happened in the first place. I know we all have these reasons of why it's probably happening, but I just generally look at things for what they're worth or what they actually are, and that's how I obtain my opinion.
All right.
Cool. All right, bro. Let me just say this real fast before we get out of here. I generally do my show from 5 to 7 each day, Monday through Friday. My daughter has an appointment tomorrow up at Columbus at the hospital. We have to ride up. So I won't be going on tomorrow at 5 o'clock as normal on Wyatt Live, just to let my few people know. But just to let you guys know, no show tomorrow at 5 o'clock due to I'm going to Columbus to do some tests with my daughter. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. E-Man, thanks for having me once again. Thanks
Wyatt,
for making me
Wyatt, I want you to do me one favor before you go.
I'll give it a shot.
You got to do the Emmanuel voice one more time. I got to hear it.
Which one? The I ain't got time for you, or which one?
Yeah. When you was calling and you wanted to say to me, to connect with me. And what was it that I said again?
I don't know, man. You was on some different shit, though. I know you was on your superstar shit. He was like, you want to get together? I was like, well, when you want me to call so we can prep? He was like, try me on Saturday. We'll see what we can fit in the schedule. I got a booked up schedule. My book. Let me check. Let me check and see. I'll see. I was like, this dude. Y'all don't know how it is to deal with a prima donna. I'm dealing with a celebrity star here, and I'm just an average Joe. And it's difficult. It's difficult. I got to fit into this man's schedule. And it's a difficult task, man. I thought this was, I'm having a great time. I'm having fun, but damn, dog. You be like, well, I gotta Saturday. Let me see. I'm gonna be busy, but I can probably fit you in.
Now let me tell you why that voice is funny. Let me tell you why that voice is funny to me.
Because it sounds like you.
No, I don't think it sounds like me. But here's why it's funny to me. Because there was a dude, I used to live over in Evanston, and there was a dude that I used to always see walking up the street. And I think he was on drugs or something. And every day he would see me, and he would say, "Hey, brother, you got a quarter?" And I would say, "No, I ain't got no quarter." All right, brother. And he would leave. And that voice, every day, brother, you got a quarter. I don't know what he was gonna do with that quarter, but he was gonna make a mint off of me if I had a quarter.
He was probably gonna get on the bus, man.
That voice, he probably was, because he seemed like the type of person that rides the bus. That's why I don't ride the bus, because those people be on the bus.
Boy, you are an elitist. You are absolutely an elitist.
Brother, every time I ride the bus, I have some sort of issue with somebody. I don't have normal bus stories. Like, I don't have a bus story where I got on the bus, I sat down, the bus drove to where I was supposed to go. I pulled the string or hit the button. I got off the bus. I don't have none of those stories. It's always something going on the bus. But that voice reminded me of that brother, and it just cracks me up. If you can do every time you do that voice.
That's the pimp voice, man. Used to be a pimp voice. You know how dudes still think they got it? You know, they still think what they were in 82, but they got the same, they just rusty and just can't get it no more. That's that voice, you know, that type of thing. You know, Cat Williams do it, but that's what he made his living off of. Someone said, what's Wyatt's solo show called so I can follow it? It's called Wyatt Live on Facebook Live, on Facebook. So like I said, and then you got Emmanuel has his thing. We're in his time spot on Mondays from 1 to whenever he feel like he want to let me, go, because, he run his own schedule, y'all. I'm the help. I'm the help and shit. So 1 to 3, generally on Mondays, we do this. And I don't do the show on Mondays because we have this show here, but Tuesday through Friday generally. And then Eman and I don't know how y'all like this show, man. I'm just curious. Can I ask that question? Is it too soon? Is it premature to start asking? Can we get some vibe? A lot of people have left on my end because they can only stomach me for like an hour and a half, bro. But I'm just curious to know how we're, I guess we'll know in a month if we can get a consistent month. Because y'all know A-Man got shit to do. He's very busy.
I am very busy.
I know, but I can't even get him on for a prep. Y'all have to understand it's very difficult. Listen, how I know it's true is when he performed last Friday, the show didn't start till he got there. The concert, the park, that concert in the park. When he rolled up, that's when he called and told the band, y'all start getting ready. I'll be there in about an hour.
This guy.
And that's when he started doing his thing. I tell you, boy, I'm just going to be a partner. Huh?
By the way, I ordered the gas. I told you I had to order a gas tank for
the scooter.
For my moped. It's not a scooter.
Oh, that's right.
With a scooter, you need a motorcycle endorsement.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. On your license, right?
With a moped, you don't need nothing. You don't need none of that.
You might need a lawnmower endorsement.
So I had to buy a gas tank. So I bought the gas tank in the Petcock, and I'm ready as soon as it come in, which is supposed to be delivered by the end of the month. Then I'll give y'all updates. I'll keep y'all updated. And I am also in the process of choosing a color because I'm gonna paint it. It's all black now, but I'm gonna paint it. So I'm in the process of choosing a color. So I will be taking suggestions on a color, but it ain't gonna be nothing loud. It ain't gonna be nothing loud. I don't want to be loud.
Goodness, you taking this moped shit really serious. Let's put it I tell you what, bro. I'll make a promise to you. If you allow me to choose the color of your moped, taking all the voters out, if you allow me to choose the color of your moped, I will sponsor your helmet and your jacket that matches. Let me choose the helmet color. Let me choose the moped color, and then I will buy you the helmet and the Fonzie jacket to match.
Look, I'll tell you what I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning heavily towards, and it's kind of gray, like that. I don't know how to describe it. It almost looks like primer. You know those cars you see that almost look like primer gray.
A flat color, no shine.
Yeah. Well, of course I'm gonna put some clear coat on it because you know. But think you know those kind of new Hondas that you see rolling around, you know, Kia and stuff like that. So I'm leaning towards a gray with like a burnt orange, still flat, but like a burnt orange accent. That's what I'm leaning towards.
See, man, I guarantee you somebody right now saying Wyatt Wright. This dude is super extra. He's a diva. All that explanation for a flat ass gray. That's what you're saying. It's a flat gray color, bro. It ain't no little twister turn to the corner over there, so it'll be a nice little bright light to the side. Oh, I'm going to put a primer on it. Man, that's too much.
Clear coat on it. I gotta put clear coat on it.
You don't put clear coat on a flat color. You can't do that. No, that's gonna take away the flatness.
No, see, that's just it. You got to look at these new Hondas and new cars that's out there with this very muted color paint, but they still got clear coat on them. But the color is just very muted.
Man, I don't even know what muted means. What the hell is muted, bro? Muted, like merging, like together or going the opposite way. What the hell is muted?
It ain't the muted color. You know what I'm talking about.
It ain't making no noise. I mean, muted. What the hell is muted? I'm just curious.
You know what muted is?
No, I don't.
I bet you got some artwork up there in one of your house galleries that's got some muted colors in it.
You always got to sneak one in, don't you? But all right, okay. If that's what you want to say. I don't know what muted means. I know what some other terminologies are. Since you're talking about paintings, yes, I do understand that, but I don't know what a muted color is in a car. Here's the thing. Let me just say this, regardless of the muted or not. Let me just say this to you, bro. You do realize that the only thing you're going to be painting on a moped is the gas tank, which is only about 2 feet long. And then the two little hubcap thing, not hubcaps, but the tire rims that are another 3 feet long. You're not going to see the color no way. That's why you need a matching helmet and a jacket.
It does have a gas tank, but the whole body of the moped has to be painted, and then the tins that go on the moped. Do
y'all hear him describing a moped as if it's at a dealership?
The things that cover all of the vital parts, they also have to be painted, as well as the wheels, because it has mag wheels on it. So
now you see, bro, that's the show. You didn't tow it up with the mag wheels.
Oh my goodness.
A moped with mag wheels is just extra. That's extra as hell, bro. Why don't you have regular spoke wheels, bro? Just be regular. It's a moped. I
didn't build the moped. It's a 95. Y'all can look up. It's a 1995 Tomos Targa LX.
Nobody knows what bruh. Nobody knows what that is. That's like saying I have a Pinto 20. I got a 1977 Pinto fuchsia brown with that one color chrome out wheels with a muffler on both sides.
Yeah, you got it.
You just said to everybody.
You look it up and you'll see. And again, I'm thinking that muted gray with also a muted, almost like a Texas orange, like a burnt orange, like, you know, the school, University of Texas, the Longhorns. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking is gonna happen.
Well, I mean, you know, like I said, it's sort of like what color shirt you got on there. Isn't that? Yeah,
almost, yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. A little brighter than that, though. A little bit brighter than that. No, I get it.
Even though it'll still be kind of muted like this, and with that with that kind of muted gray on it.
Just killing me with muted, bro. I know what matte is. Matte is a flat color. I get it. I just, that's that
But it's
elite.
gonna have a shine on it. See, that's the thing. It's gonna just like those new cars are they look like primer, but they have a nice clear coat finish on them. So they are shiny.
Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, bro, you're only gonna have this much gas tank to paint anyway. And the little things that go around those wheels that are probably about 3 inches wide. You know what I mean? So the little thing,
bro.
It's like painting a tricycle. That's what you about to do. You about to paint a tricycle.
Significant. It's significant. And then what I might do with the leftover paint, because I still have leftover paint. That little baby just got a bike. Her bike, I might set it off.
Oh, you're gonna paint that?
Yeah, the same color.
We're gonna have a matching bike and a matching the moped bike. So
the little baby. Let me tell you. And then I know we gotta go. The little baby. Every time she come over, which is at least 3 times a week, she say to me, "Papa, can I see your motorcycle?"
You didn't fool the baby. You didn't lie to the baby and told the baby you didn't
want a new motorcycle, but to her, it's a motorcycle.
Well, when she is it running? Does it run? Is it going down the street right now? Can you physically get on it?
I don't even have a gas tank on it yet.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be the one to break the news to E-Man on this. Excuse me, King. When the little baby see your ass on that moped, she's gonna realize it's not a motorcycle. She's gonna know right then and there. Papa lied to me. This is not a freaking motorcycle. Why it make all that noise, Papa? Why? What the hell is that, Papa? Motorcycles don't sound like that, Papa.
Look, I'm rebuilding the engine. She loved to help me. She feel like she is helping. The only thing she remember, which she really don't remember, is what size wrench that I had to use. It's a 13 millimeter. And I pretend like I forget every time. And I say, what size wrench do I need, little baby? And she say, 11. And I say, you sure it's 11 and not? And then she's 13. And I'll be like, thank you. I couldn't have did this without you. So
now you talking. I respect the fact that you got the little baby in there helping you out and she's having a great time. But it does not take away from the fact that when you get on it, does it have a key or a start or something like that?
No.
No key.
No key.
Don't please, E-Man, you better not tell me it got pedals on the side. And that's how you start. Oh, man, this is so over. I'm finished with this shit here. I'm done. This thing, guys. You mean so you gotta find a hill or you got a pedal to start it?
You got it. You kick the pedal backwards, just like a kickstart.
E-Man, don't do it, bro.
In order for it to be a moped in Ohio legally, it's got to have pedals.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's a motorcycle.
Brother, don't do it. I'm just saying, like she definitely gonna know it's not a motorcycle when she sees you pedaling like a bike to get it started. Everybody know what I'm talking about.
You don't pedal like a bike to get it started. You just take the pedals and just like a motorcycle, how you kickstart a motorcycle, you just do that. Instead of the little kickstart thing, you do the pedal backwards. It kickstarts the motorcycle. I mean, she got me calling it a motorcycle. It kickstarts the moped.
Now you just admitted that you've been calling it a motorcycle. It's been slipping out. It's a motorcycle in the Livingston household.
You kick the pedal backwards to kickstart the moped, and then because it don't sound like it's really kind of sound like a lawnmower, but
not even a little bit like a motorcycle. I hear you. And you put what maximum $3 worth of gas in it.
Probably, yeah. But I bet you that'll last me for a month.
What? $3 worth of gas?
Yeah.
You ain't even gonna get you're not even gonna get a gallon. It's got to be a 3-gallon, 4-gallon tank.
Yeah, it's if I'm looking at it, I think it's probably like a 2-gallon tank. It's a pretty big gas tank.
You do know riding lawnmowers have a bigger tank than that, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's probably bigger than 2 gallons. I would think. I would say minimum 3. Now, I could be wrong, but it is. You know, I'm just saying, bro. Like, why don't you just? Well, no, because it's paid. It's bought and paid for, basically. So
Right.
you're in the position of restoring. Do you get a license plate?
You do.
'Cause
You got to
know
get a license plate.
Yeah, you know it qualifies for a historical license plate, right?
It does not qualify for a historical license.
It has to be 20 years old, or what?
I don't know.
I think 20. What year is it?
The
75.
95.
Oh, 95. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said it was a set. I couldn't tell because the long description of what it's called. What's the last time? And I know you got to say it again. What is it called? I mean, give us the short version of what the name
short
is.
version. It's 1995 is the year. Tomos, Tomos. That's the what like Honda,
Manufacturer. Okay.
and it's the Targa LX, Targa.
Okay.
Tomos Targa LX, 1995.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one you got to pedal to start. I remember when New Edition was riding them when they were singing Candy Girl. That's that same model. If y'all go to the video of Candy Girl, they have those mopeds when they was wearing members only jackets and corduroys. That's that same motorcycle right there. That's that same moped. I know y'all remember that.
I just looked up the 1995 Tomos Targa LX, and that's it on the pictures. That's it right there.
Okay. All right. Well,
You see, it's a lot of real estate there to paint.
Yeah.
If you look it up.
Well, I tell you what, man, my offer is still there, brother. If you allow me to pick the color of what you choose, I mean, what I choose, you allow me to pick the color, I will sponsor the helmet and the jacket. Have you considered a team name yet for your, you know, you can't ride a motorcycle and not rock the whole motorcycle, gear and persona. You gotta have that. Y'all gotta be called. You gotta have the bird on it or something. Something gotta be.
This moped will get me to and from the church 3 times a week, and it will probably, one tank of gas will probably last me for a month.
Nah, man.
Yeah, you can say what you want to say.
Now, how far is the church? Really? Is it a mile away?
Well, again, it's like when I drive, it takes me 10 minutes to get there, but everywhere I go is 25 miles an hour, and I drive the speed limit. So it'll take me 10 minutes to get there. Now, exactly how far it is, somebody can do the math on that, but
well, yeah. I tell you what, you do it when you get a moment, E. What you do is you go, you have an iPhone?
I do have an iPhone.
Okay, then perfect. You go to the iPhone, you go into the maps, okay? Now, normally when we look up something on maps, you put the address in, and it gives you the driving distance. All I want you to do, what?
It might give you the driving distance depending on which way you decide to go, sure.
Okay. Well, my suggestion to you is if you're going to ride the moped, when you pull up the address, you're going to have to move over to the second box of form of transportation. And I would click the walking one if I were you to get the walking distance from wherever you stand when you get on that moped, because you might as well be walking. It's not going to go 25 miles an hour like your car. It's not going to do it. And you don't even want it to.
It's going to go 25 miles an hour.
The faster you go, the more noise they make.
It's going to go 25 miles an hour.
Bro, it's going to sound like it's on the 9th RPM range on the expressway in 4th gear. It's you're going to sound like you're ready to explode if it do too fast.
It's going to save me a lot of money. That's all I know. It's going to save me a lot of money.
Well, that's important. That's important. I tell you that. But, you know, E-Man, it's been real, brother. And listen, you should take a before and after picture of the moped. You should take a picture of it now before you start.
I have a before.
Okay. And then show us the after when you finish, man. Because that's, you know how we are, bro. Like, we like to show our our work off, or at least to ourselves, and had a memory. I've done it to some things in the house. I had to lay a little pieces of carpet over in the corner or something. I'm not handy. I just bring in people to do stuff like that, bro. I don't have a handy bone in my body, but when it's something simple, I get to it and I make it a big thing. Like I tell my wife, look what I did, girl, don't tell me nothing. You know what I mean? So take some pictures, bro, because, I want to see the before and after.
All right, you'll see it. I got the before, and I will show the after.
And let us know the color. You haven't determined it yet, though, right? Is it gonna be the orange?
I'm leaning to the muted gray with the orange accents. I'm leaning that gray to that direction.
Somebody said, can we please try to interview Ickey Woods? I'm not quite sure how long ago that was, but Ickey Woods from the Bengals? Is that like who said that?
Yeah, don't just
okay.
Don't. Yeah.
Okay.
He's under the impression that Ickey Woods was just inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
The what?
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out my nigga Gucci. Shout out my man Ickey then. I ain't heard that one.
Because it did happen.
Maybe he was inducted to the Cincinnati Bengal.
Yeah, I suggested that was maybe what he was talking about, but he said no, it was the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he knows that for a fact. So
cold cut Ickey, shuffle Ickey.
Yeah, some stuff you just let go.
Oh man, okay. Shout out my man Ickey. I guess shout out my man Gucci. But all right, well, hey man, you got anything else, man?
Wyatt and everybody listening, I hope something amazing happens in your life today.
That's it?
That's it.
Don't you normally say something a lot longer than that? I hope something amazing happens in your life, and take
That's
this
it.
one to the bank, and if they don't want to give you the loan, I'll co-sign for you. Don't you go into all of that?
I hope something amazing happens in your life today.
Okay. Well, listen, let me shoot it back at you. Let me return the serve. Same to you and the family, you and the little baby. Enjoy the rest of the week. I'll be listening to you at 1 o'clock when you decide to come on. And I love the fact that you know what? I just think that Cincinnati has a lot to offer when it comes down to shows and conversation. And I'm glad that you are allowing us to do this together, because I think it gives a different perspective. And what else can I say? I respect everybody that's doing what they're doing out there. But I just think that if one day I would love to see a big forum. I have to, I'm not talking anytime soon because I got to get my shit together. But I'd love to see all the intelligent shows all in one spot at one time having a conversation. I would love to see that one day. That would be so awesome. And I think Cincinnati deserves it.
I agree.
That would be special. I think that would be special. But I tell you what, man, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you giving me your time. I know it's hard to catch up with you, brother. For those that tuned in to the Wyatt Live family, I appreciate all of you guys. For Emmanuel's audience and his family, I appreciate you guys coming in and giving us the time. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a hold of Eman this whole week, and we'll have something together for you next Monday at 1 o'clock. If not, it's not because of me. It's not because of me. It's because of him. It's because of him and his schedule. But we'll do the best we can. I'll stay up on him, guys. This is Wyatt, and I'm out. E-Man, King.
I'm the king. I'm out, y'all. Peace.
Peace and love to everybody, man. See you guys on the next one. See you Monday, 1 o'clock. Holla.